All right, hello. Uh, Starlight Roseheart, hello. Recriner, hello. Yeah, I don't know what this says. I'm pretty sure it's like, here, we can Google it. Growing under bundling. Let's see. It's the Green Walk. That's what it translates to. Makes sense. It's let's see. It's a French restaurant in Belgium, I think. If I recall correctly. And also, I'm looking it up right now. Yeah. You just looked up. Okay, yeah. I think it's in Belgium. I could be wrong. I didn't look too closely, but anyway, yeah, it was just one of the spots that MapCrunch sent us. But anyway, today is here I have a webcam. Also, my music is loud. Everything's going wrong. Oh, I say, and then I turn it up even louder. Brilliant streamer move. Okay, but yeah, so let's see. There's the webcam. Anyway, hello again. But yeah, I'm gonna do some more map crunching today. Map Crunch Monday on Thursday, because map crunch is fun. Basically, it's Google Street View randomized, and yeah, good stuff. All right. Also, I don't have chat open. 1 second. If you are chatting and on anywhere other than Twitch, I can't see your chat right now, but I will in just a second. Let me just take a peek. Okay. All right, here we go. I can now see chat, I think. Gonna pause that. Gonna pause that. Do that. Map crunch, bring it over here. Share my screen. Okay, so this is the first spot that it took us to. This is like the default place of the day. I like it. It's pretty chill. No real architecture. Ooh, this is neat. Really put us in the... So I kind of want to start with architecture. Architecture's been fun. Ooh, I like this. A little rock pile. That's kind of a nice little scene. I like that. A little spot tucked away in the... Also, look at the crazy scale of, like, from the camera. When we're looking straight at it, it's kind of far away. But as we tilt, it gets so big. When it's on the periphery. Anyway. So yeah, I kind of like this scene. This is kind of neat. Sort of get a bit of the walkway down here, the thing. I think it's a nice little composition. Not too shabby. Okay, let's take a screenshot of that. But yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. I've been enjoying these plein air, like virtual plein air paintings, or I mean, it's not really because it's still like I treat it like an image because literally just take a screenshot. But it's kind of like it because you do have to choose your own composition, and it's not the same. It's not quite the same as just finding a perfect photo on Google Images or something. But I guess it's pretty similar. But I've been really enjoying it. We are in Switzerland right now. That's where this image is, or this place is. I'm missing something. What am I missing? PureRef. Let's open up my reference file. Control V. There. If anybody wants the link, this is just the main. I think regular mapcrunch.com is the link for this one, but I will still share it anyway because why not? Maybe somebody wants that. All right, I'm gonna post that. I will try to do a bunch of these today. That's my plan. A bunch of little map crunches. Okay. What am I doing? I haven't even drawn a single mark on my canvas today. Wait, so Recriner, you said you were thinking about skipping class. Ooh, what a rebel. It does it not matter if you skip class? I assume it doesn't if you're gonna skip class. Okay, so I think for here, so what I'm really liking is the house. Uh, I think that's nice. I also kind of like the way it's tucked away in the mountains, or like there's a hill with you know, a hill behind it or a mountain behind it, whatever you want to call it. I like that, and I think it would be fun to really try to like pump up that contrast right where the house is, and then kind of have it like maybe exaggerate maybe we put a shadow across it a bit more, or so I don't know. So let's try that. So I like the idea of the house on the hill, but maybe a bit. Also, I realize the aspect ratio is not the same, so I'm gonna change that. I mean, I'm not gonna change it. I'm just gonna paint it the way. And then we have the house here, right? I'm not convinced that this is exactly where it's gonna be. Also, let's sketch in red again. I really enjoyed the sketching in red. I thought that was a nice touch. It made it very warm. It just made it fun to sketch with. I don't know. I could do like teal. We've done some teal sketching, but I think doing your base sketch in like red, it can be nice because, as I mentioned last stream, it's not a super dark value. And so it doesn't, like, your brain doesn't read it as black when you start putting other colors in there. It just kind of blends into the other colors, but it also brings out like a warmth, which is kind of nice. Okay, I don't think I want this connecting there. We'll have the little platform here. This is gonna be... I'm trying to think where do I want the house, right? Because I want to be able to show the hill behind it, right? I also want to show that we're kind of on a hill. I guess here works. But this is also the main, the face that we're gonna see, right? So this is gonna be and we almost can't see the roof. I don't know if I like that we can't see the roof. I mean, it kind of makes sense because we're looking up at it. Hello, are we doing Map Crunch Monday? We are doing Map Crunch Monday on Thursday. Yep, it's a Thursday, but we're doing Map Crunch Monday. I just wanted to do more Map Crunch. It's been fun. It's been a long time since I've done a lot of sketching from photos, or in this case, technically, I mean, it is a photo, but like, you know, but a non-curated photo. And I think that to me that makes a big difference, because like part of that fun is like deciding and then kind of seeing if you made a good choice. Cool. It's fun. Yeah, I just like it where like sometimes you make a painting and you're like, wow, this did not turn out good. But then at least in this, then you kind of have to like question, is it because you picked a bad angle, or is it just because you drew it wrong? Like maybe the choices, like for example in this, I want to make these stand out just a little bit more. And I'm not sure if the way that I'm going to choose to do that is going to be a good way. Like it might end up just not being good. But we'll see. I want to avoid tangents here. It's like easy in terms of subject, but technically challenging and difficult. Yeah. I mean, I think it's subject matter. I mean, it varies, right? 'Cause sometimes the photos suck, or you mean like buildings and trees and stuff. Yeah. In that sense, I agree. I think it's pretty simple subject matter wise. I mean, you know, relatively easy compared to some things, right? And also you're painting from a photo, so it's that picking. Oh yeah, picking a subject. Yeah, so I think picking a subject is the challenging part, right? That's the hard thing is because like I think it was so last stream we raided into Drakir, uh, and he said something that I think is very much on in line with I think most people's view, which is, it's hard like, or maybe it wasn't him. Somebody said something about like, oh, when I paint from Street View, everything is like ugly and it's hard to find something that looks good, right? And like, yeah, that that's kind of like I think that's the part of the fun part really, and the hard part is that like it's nothing is inherently looking good really. Sometimes it does look, sometimes you just stumble into a beautiful place, but like I like stumbling into like kind of a not very beautiful place, and then you have to figure out how to make it like it's, when hopefully no matter what you pick at the end, somebody's gonna say, oh, that looks like a beautiful place, I want to be there. But it's like it didn't start that way. Like it, when you were dropped into the location, it was like, oh, this place is not nice, or this place is okay-ish. I mean, this place is pretty gorgeous, let's be real. Yeah, I mean, it's finding beauty in the mundane kind of or whatever. I mean, this place is pretty beautiful just no matter what, but yeah, there's definitely something to learn from that. Staring at you dead in the face. Yeah, yeah. And I always last stream I also mentioned James Gurney. He's really good at this. He'll paint like a back alley dumpster with trash on the ground, or a literal sidewalk with a curb and a storm drainage, just like just random sidewalk in the middle of wherever he lives. I don't know, like Indiana or something. I don't know where he lives, but like just some random sidewalk, and it's gorgeous. Like he just makes it amazing. You're like, wow, I want to be in that. I want to be at that sidewalk. Uh, what's James Gurney? James Gurney is he wrote the book literally on Color and Light. It is a great book, highly recommend. But he also did Dinotopia. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Some people grew up with that as like a children's book series. Yeah, he's great. Also, what am I doing right now? I'm just blocking in things with red, and I don't know why. This is gonna be in shadow. This is gonna be in shadow. This can be in shadow. This can be in shadow. These are windows. I don't know if I consider them in shadow or not, but they are dark. I actually like the lighting here. That's cool. That's in shadow. Little door. Yeah, so here, let me spell out James Gurney. It's J-A-M... Oh, hold on. J-A-M-E-S-G-U-R-N-E-Y. James Gurney. He's great. He does a lot of he has a YouTube channel, but he's not, I wouldn't really call him a YouTuber. Like he does make some videos, and his videos are actually pretty cool. But he does a lot of plein air stuff on his YouTube, so he just goes out and paints. But mostly he does traditional like oils or watercolors and gouache, but he does a lot of like illustration. He's done a lot of like illustration for National Geographic, doing like dinosaur illustrations that are, like scientifically accurate, or as accurate as based on the information we have for like when new discoveries are made and stuff. And so he's like he's very good at technical illustration, but he's also just really good at painting and knowledgeable, and yeah. James Gurney is a fascinating person, and also like he has like a, a history with like being like good college friends with like Thomas Kincaid, and he constantly shares like photos of like him and Thomas Kincaid like going out and like traveling across the country and hitching rides on trains and painting and stuff. Which, Thomas Kincaid is a controversial figure, I think, but it's cool. It's just there's so much like he has so much history when it comes to like painting and doing things. I don't know, James Gurney is fascinating. You're on his Insta, which feels a little, but yeah. I'm not. I don't know much about Thomas Kincaid other than he's. I think he was kind of unhinged in his later years, but he is like a well-known person. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. I think they were like roommates or something. But there is something to like. Oh, James Gurney. Oh, you mean James Gurney? Oh, his wait. His Instagram feels bizarre. Oh, why? I don't get that. I mean, maybe I don't know. I haven't looked that closely at it. Um, but just from a painting perspective, let's see. What do I want to do here? So I want to bring in warmth. So warm, yellow. Actually, we could probably paint this whole thing like that. Warm, yellow, green. Oh, you mean that everyone's on Insta is a little bizarre? Oh, that's fair. And a timeline perspective, yeah, I get it. Now, do I want to put... I think I want to make this more green. This green and red way of doing things is kind of neat, I will say. Although I'm not sure why I'm putting red in the shadows and not in the warm, but anyway. Just a lot of green. The back can be a much darker green. I'm trying to let some of that red poke through. That's my plan. Because I want this to shine. Like I want this these houses to really read well. That's my goal. What made you decide to reduce the windows? Reduce the windows. Oh, I just didn't add them yet. Anwar, how's it going? Oh, I just didn't add the other windows. That was just me not getting there yet or forgetting. Like reduce the number? Yeah, I just didn't get there. Probably isn't super important to be honest. Or you mean in size? Do you mean in size? That's just technical me not measuring. I'm not really measuring any of this to be honest. I'm just kind of eyeballing everything. No, that wasn't a decision. I mean, it was a decision to move on, and I guess I mean this is the thing. Okay, this is something that I find really interesting about art because like on one hand, it wasn't a decision, right? I just didn't do it. But on the other hand, if I felt it was important enough, I probably would have like I was trying, I think I got distracted by other things that I felt were more important, right? Like me sketching out the perspective or me getting into values, right? And so maybe I started sketching these and then I went, "Oh, you know what? That's not that important," and I stopped. So in some sense it was a choice, right? It's just the choice was to do something else. Um and that's a tough one. That's a tough thing to like for me because like I don't remember making that choice, right? Like I didn't intentionally make the choice of like, "Oh, let's not put all the windows." But I do like to think that if it was important, I would have done it because that's kind of what I'm trying to think about is like what do I think is the most important? And so in that sense, I chose something else. And I think that's how it is a lot in art, where like I'll do something and sometimes I'll be really precise and sometimes I won't. Um, and if I'm not precise, it's probably because I didn't feel I needed to be, or because I was just lazy. That could be the case too. But like here, I didn't put in these rocks. That was not because of a choice. That was a choice, but it was mostly a choice based on I'm not sure if I want to put them in because that might like it's kind of this weird high contrast foreground thing that isn't that important. There's actually a lot of little stuff over here that I don't think is super important. But yeah, hope you're doing well, Anwa. Instinctive. Oh, what software am I using? I am using Clip Studio Paint. Well, I wouldn't even call it, I mean, it is instinctive, but it's more like, you know, I think you spend a lot of time making choices of what you should work on, right? And you know, at least I do. I feel like I spend a lot of time thinking about what is, you know, what's the most important thing in the painting, or what needs my attention right now. You know, if I look at it as a whole and there's something off, I'm going to try and fix that. And there's just kind of an order of operations of like big stuff to small stuff, or at least stuff that you think is important, or small stuff, you know, that comes last. Um, Also, I should probably, let's add some, I don't know, some shadow color in here. Some gray blues. And so I think that because you spend so much time sort of asking yourself these questions of like, what am I, you know, what's important? What do I need to work on? What needs my attention? You just eventually get to a point where the stuff that you don't get to just isn't that important, right? It's just like, it's the random shape up, you know, it's the random color of this leaf, you know, not important. It wasn't that I chose this leaf to be red, you know, or whatever. It's just I hadn't gotten there yet, and my blocking color happened to be red, right? And so that's why that leaf is red, not because I made a choice. And I think that window thing was kind of similar. Yeah. Anno on YouTube, you said, "Oh, I'm okay. I'm just trying to understand the decision making so I can apply it to my own images." Yeah, so I think the decision making is mostly big stuff, big shapes, big values, right? I started with some basic composition things, but then I pretty much just jumped straight into values, you know, I made sure that the background is a little bit darker because I wanted the lighter, uh, the building to contrast. Even still, it's probably not quite, uh, it's probably not quite as dark as it could be actually in some spots. So like maybe up here is a little darker. I could go with straight line, but like I don't want it like a straight line, because because this is in shadow. So I'll probably do something like that. Maybe even blend some of this in. So like, you know, I want to make some of these punchier. Also, I have like this edge here, which is quite bright. So I'll probably bring in some brightness there. It doesn't need to be actually white. There probably will be some things like some bricks and stuff that I'm gonna put here, just some indications, but not every brick. But yeah, no, it's interesting for me to also talk through my thought process because it's very it's 'cause especially for these like these plein air paintings, it's not like I'm not my thought process is not super well nailed down. Like I don't typically paint this way. And so it's kind of, you know, it's very in some ways it's experimental. I am trying some things like the whole painting with red thing. I think that's a neat touch to add some warmth to it. Yeah, the bricks are neat. I think that's something that I'm constantly asking myself, like, do I want to paint the bricks? You know, how much brickwork do I paint? Do I just add little indications maybe in the corners? Um, you know, it can be kind of tough to know. Also, I haven't gotten to this tree yet, so I'm gonna do that later. I'm also debating whether I want to add like more warmth up here. There's also a shadow coming this way. I'm just going to block in some shadow over here. I'm not trying to make the landform exactly the same. Like, I'm making this little bit of light a little thinner, which might not be a good choice. I'm trying to put a little bit of saturation right around the focal point here. And then I think I'm going to make all this stuff actually less saturated. So I'll probably even put some shadows over here. Maybe we sketch in those twigs. I don't know. We can add in this tree too. Let's put some tree. Put some tree. That's the sentence. And then here I'm thinking I'm just gonna make a big blobby shape. It's kind of vaguely the tree shape. Just kind of trying to make it mostly not completely opaque, because I do want it to, you know, it's a tree. Trees have. Also, this is like a big shadow over here. I'm a little bit less certain of this though. This is very dark. It's kind of the darkest part of the painting. That roof is so red. That roof is very red. It won't stay red. I mean, it might, but probably not. How are you? Happy Weeks? It's so nice. Oh, I'm glad you like the red roof. It is pretty intense. It's not a real red roof, but it's just the lines. I could probably go over the top with like a brown or an orange and kind of like, you know, it'll add like a bit of a color to it. Especially like up here. And then some of that red will stay in like the shadows or the, you know, especially if I come in here and do like a blue gray or something in the shadows. Maybe a little lighter because it is supposed to be a white material. Something like that. I'm also not sure if I want to put these windows in here. Again, they're very, very light. So maybe I'll just take that shadow color and just paint in here. Also, this whole back spot is a little bit not as white. There's a little ledge here too. Kinda don't know where that came from. Or wait, maybe it's that one? I don't know. I don't want this background stuff to be too contrasty either. I could maybe also bring in some stuff in the foreground overlapping just a little bit. Like, I know it's not really in the photo. You can't really see it overlap. I do also, let's add a little bit of a blue sky. Just a smidge. Not too blue. I don't want it to be crazy blue. But just enough so that when we make the shadows blue, it kind of works. Also, this is a hill, so there should be 0 blue in there. We could put some blue in here. Like in this shadow. I feel like framing-wise, it's not that great. What if we went like this? Just adding some shadows here, some shadows here, some shadow here. Just trying to frame the scene a little bit with like a bit of a vignette. Also, I'm going to come in here with like an actual brownish color. And do like go over this roof stuff a little bit more. I don't need everything to feel super red. I'm still kind of getting a sense for how to do this. Do you have a YouTube? I have a YouTube in the sense that I live stream on YouTube like right now. But I don't like upload videos. I just have the VOD. Just the recordings of streams. I don't make YouTube videos or anything. I thought about it. I've done that a couple times, but it's not something that I really enjoy doing. I don't like editing videos. It's not enjoyable at all for me, and so I don't do it. You talk perfectly. I don't know about that, but thank you. I'm glad you think I do. That makes me happy to know. Maybe in the future, I will make some YouTube videos. Ooh, editing unfortunate. Yeah, editing sucks. It's not fun. I mean, not everything you do in life has to be fun, but editing in particular is awful for me. I just don't like it. It requires, well, some skills that I'm not very good at, and also I just like it's hard enough for me to get myself to paint to then have to do a bunch of other stuff that I don't want to do to like make content that I would rather just be painting. I don't know, like when there's all these things that like I'm already not great at doing, like that I should be doing, it's hard for me to add other things that I really don't want to do that are also optional. But me talking perfect, is that real? Thank you for that compliment. Yeah, editing is nor do I make enough money to be able to pay an editor. So that's out the window. Maybe someday if I did enough YouTube on my own and I grew enough to the point where it would make sense for me to be able to pay an editor, then I would pay an editor because then it would just be like a wash kind of. It would sort of balance itself out. What do I want to do in here? I kind of want to add a little bit of blue because there's a blue sky and then the blue sky shines into the shadows. And so even if this stuff is not inherently blue, it can be a little bit cooler. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good choice. I'm kind of smudging it around. I think actually, I was going to say I don't think I should put any detail over here, but, you know, on second look, I do think some subtle detail over here would be not too bad. I thought it would be an evening scene. Ooh, an evening scene. I mean, we could have made it into an evening scene. Maybe we do that in one of the next ones where we take a scene and turn it into like an evening scene. That'd be kind of a fun way to do it. Hmm. I don't know what else to do here. I mean, we could paint like individual trees back here. I just don't think it's necessary. I think maybe we make some vague shapes to like show that there's different smaller trees and plants and bushes and stuff up here. But like, I don't think we need to paint each of them. Because it is like a hill. Also, maybe some atmospheric perspective. I know this scene doesn't have much up here, but maybe I add it in just to like add that contrast because I think this image is lacking a little bit of contrast. And I also don't know if this looks like a hill. So I'm going to make this just look a little bit more like a hill by adding very small. There, I think this is a good spot to stop this one. I think that's a good thumbnail or a good mini sketch. You do explain things fairly well, I'd say. Oh, that's good. Well, yeah, if you ever have any questions, let me know, and then I'll try to do a better job explaining. But I never really know what, you know, what people want me to talk about. So I just kind of blabber, and I try to narrate a little bit of what I'm thinking. But that's always tough, right? Because, again, sort of going back to my previous point, a lot of times it's not a conscious choice. It's more of like you're thinking about all this other stuff. And so, like, if you work big to small, and I'm slowly thinking about the small stuff, this stuff I kind of didn't think too hard about. It was more like, oh, it's a value and it needs to be in the background, right? Or, oh, this is just a warm green shape, and so I made a shape here. But why did I make it exactly like this? Maybe it was, you know, just because. Although in this case, I am trying to make some sort of a vignette. I do want, maybe I should paint down the slope. So I'm going to add some some lines going downward. I think that's probably what I should do. So I'm going to try to paint along the form of the hill. Just to help show that it's a hill, and maybe our brains will read that a little bit better. There, that'll work. And then maybe back here, it's even smaller. So we use smaller brush, fainter lines, smaller texture. Basically just anything to show a little tiny, like, I mean, they're smaller lines because the detail is going to be smaller, right? But I'm still kind of just scribbling. Anyway, I think that works. Maybe the red's a little bit intense. I don't think we need that much red. Yeah, maybe it's too much red still. Because, like, I like the red. Also, there's a little bit of an overhang up here that maybe we can introduce. Now, which lines do I want to be super crisp? That's the question, or that's a question. Do I want, like, these underside lines to be really crisp? Also, there's a bright line here that we could add in. This line is a very hard-edged line up back here, but I don't think I want to make it super hard-edged because it's not really important. And it's that if I make it too hard-edged, it's going to stand out. That's at least my theory. We might put this one back here, this little shed thing. I don't know, I feel like it could go back there. Wouldn't hurt anything. Let's see, what else? What else do we do before I move on? I mean, I kind of like it. It's not bad. This is a little bit dim. Maybe we could darken it just a bit because it is pretty, it's a pretty intense corner here. Actually, maybe we do that with the whole thing. We come in here and just make the corner punchy a little bit with that high contrast. We could also use some of this to, like, make the edge of the wall not perfectly straight because to show that it has texture. Kind of painting between the railing instead of painting the railing over the thing. To the left of the painting. Tons of front brick thing to the left of the painting. Tons of the front brick thing. This? There. Oh, you mean all this stuff? Yeah, I thought about adding all this stuff in the back. Tons of gray. Oh, gray. You mean just like on the bricks themselves? Or up here? I'm not sure what you mean. No, shades of gray. Oh, tons of shades of gray. Oh, like this. You mean I have a ton of shades of gray in my painting? Yeah, I mean all of this stuff's, well, it's pretty middle of the road. I'm actually not sure what you're talking about, but no. Now I'm confused. It's okay. I'm bad at reading and I probably missed something. Also, thank you for the follow a second ago. Okay. Or do you mean this stuff? This is a lot of gray, right? It's a very gray. I want the brick behind the tiny tree on the left. Tiny tree on the left. The brick behind it. This stuff. That is gray. That is brick. Is that what you mean? This stuff, like these little dark shadows? What about them? Sorry, I lost the plot. I don't know. Yeah, what about them? There is a lot of, I guess it's a lot of gray. It might be a bit too much. I don't know. I kind of want it to be like the impression. You asked what more can we do? Oh, I see. I see. Just like punch that up a bit. Yeah. You might need more tones. Oh, maybe, yeah. Yeah, I am a little bit hesitant though to put too many or too much detail there or too much nuance because I don't really want it to be that important. And like it is kind of I was actually thinking about leaving it out because I'm not sure how important it is. And maybe if I put it in, I should be putting more of these walls back here so that we can tell. Like rather than just having one random wall, maybe we do need to put the other walls back here. And like there's a bit of a wall over here that maybe we put in this tiny corner. It's just barely poking out. You almost can't even see it. But maybe it's worth putting in just to kind of have these repeating shapes around here so that we're not just putting one random wall in. Because otherwise it kind of draws attention, you know? We could, if we wanted, to really show how like the autumn colors or whatever, or I don't know if these are autumn colors, but we could put in some variation back here. Just some bright, warmer colors, some reds. The reds are already back there. Just different stuff. I also thought about putting this darker color shape right here, but I don't think that's worth it. I think it's better to keep all this very fluffy and almost like just kind of blurry, and then these things can be the more crisp areas. Sort of the edges of these. Anyway, that's not a bad spot to stop, I think. I'm pretty happy with it. Also, I feel like my voice is sounding kind of funny. I don't know. I think I need to drink some tea. I have a new tea. It's a mint flavored black tea. Or I don't know if there's actually mint in it, but it's a mint black tea. It's really good. Very minty. Okay, let's see. Next location. Let's do another location. That was a good I spent a little too long on that probably, but let's do another location. Where is MapCrunch gonna send us? Let's go. Randomization. Do we like the spot? Yay or nay? It's just a field. Not a lot there. Fields can be nice, though. There is beauty in fields. They can seem a little boring, but you can also, like, focus in on just the grass. Or, you know, maybe you get a scene like this where it's almost just the grass. Or maybe you zoom in and get the tree, you know? Like, there's always going to be something to paint, right? I mean, the different shapes and textures back here could be a focal point, or could be the subject matter, I should say. You know, maybe the geometric shapes of the fields back here. That could be a fun thing. Like, I think in some case, this is those paintings where, like, I don't really love to paint them because I do find them a little boring. But on one hand, I know if someone much, much better than me were to paint this location, it would be gorgeous, right? And so it's like, well, there's no reason I can't also try and make it gorgeous. Or, like, find the subject that I like seeing. You know, maybe it's this tree up here. Maybe we come up here, this bush. Or maybe it's this, you know. Oh, I have hiccups. Uh-oh. FOMO. Fear of missing out? Well, no, I don't think it's that for me. I think for me, it's more that, like, there's two parts, like there's the part of me where like that says this is fun, right? Except that doesn't happen with this painting, right? I don't, that part of me does not scream this is a fun painting. But there's the intellectual side of me that knows that these can be some of the most interesting places when you do them well. It's because, you know, you find that thing that, you know, you pick a thing as your subject matter, like a telephone pole or this thing, and you paint it really well, right? And you show a thing in an interesting way. You know, maybe it's the colors, maybe it's the, like, whatever it is, right? You paint it in a way that is like, oh, most people wouldn't have picked painting that, and that makes it interesting. So like, I know part of me knows that this would be interesting to paint, but the part that actually has to paint it, I'm like, surely there's more exciting things, right? Like, and I think I want to become more of the type of person who says, I'm gonna paint this random mundane thing because there's something interesting about it, right? Like, so maybe we do paint this. I like this. That's not bad. Maybe we do this. Yeah, surely there's something here we can figure out. All right. So, if you guys want the link to this, by the way, here's the, oops, here's the link. It's right there. You can paint the same scene if you want. It's always, and you can always share in Discord at the end if you'd like to share the stuff that you're painting. Okay, so I think for this one, I'll stick it right there. I think for this one, also, why is my screen all a weird aspect ratio? Okay, what do I want to do here? So, maybe we stick it up there. I think for this one, I want to focus on... Actually, you know what? Let's try something a little different. So I am going to paint the scene, but I want to move around a bit. And I don't care about having the exact frame. I just want to get a sense of what this spot is like, right? Like, there's this big hill here. We go up the top of the hill. And we look down. Like, I mean, we can't go into the field, unfortunately. But, like, there's this thing up here. This field, which is kind of neat. These stripes. There's something cool there, right? And so maybe... So it looks like we're on a hill. Right, we're on a hill. And then there's this tower. And then there's other hills back here, right? Kind of like that. And again, we can paint with red because red's fun. Red is fun to paint with. We'll just go over our lines. Not everything has to be with red, by the way. I don't... I might just be sticking to it because it's fun, but maybe it's not the best choice. I don't think this tower needs to be in red. I do think the blue, the atmosphere is going to be really fun to paint with. So let's start sketching in some colors. Let's do like also there's a road here. Do I want to paint the road? Yeah, I might as well. Okay. What I really like about it is this super vibrant greens. Also, my sky painting skills are very weak. It's always really hard for me to pick a nice blue sky color. I don't know why. It's just something that I struggle with quite a bit. And I realize not the whole sky is this color of blue. It gets much lighter down below. Hello, I don't know if I asked you, do you work or have you worked in a studio or just for fun? I have not worked in studios. So yeah, I do some freelance art, but mostly I would say I'm like part-time freelance. So like mostly it's kind of for fun. Like streaming is mostly for fun, or almost entirely for fun. So yeah, I guess for fun. We can call it for fun. That's probably the most accurate. But I do paid work occasionally. So it's not, but I think it's not my main source of income, and so I think that's probably the best way to describe it. I'm just sketching in. Let's add that bright horizon line. I think that's not bad. We can make these shapes more interesting, but I just want to block in some color. Let's also block in some value in that foreground, some darker greens. We can go back over the top with lighter colors. I'm not trying to be too accurate to color. I want to actually play up that vibrant green like a ton. Like right here, this little strip of green. I want that to be like super vibrant and juicy colors. Everything else can be a little bit more dull and desaturated. Can I see this up? Yeah. Sorry, this is the scene. This is the actual location. It's just like a field of green. And I'm gonna paint this thing. This is where we are. I'm not actually, I don't even know if I need to be picking the spot yet to paint. But I like this vibrant green back here from this other field. There's like a field with the like rows of something. What's my screenshot? This one. But I kind of am not even sure if that's gonna be the screenshot that I paint from, because like in some ways I don't know if it's, I mean, I'm not, I think in this one it's not as important that I'm exactly accurate, right? Because it's not like this is a man-made, I mean, this is man-made, right? The tower, but like the landscape itself, it's more about like the vibes of it, right? At least that's kind of how I think about it. Because like every angle that I'm at is different anyway, and so like it's not about being perfect, it's more about being, feeling like the place. And that feeling might be different than any one of the screenshots, right? It might be, because a lot of times you get the feeling by like moving through the space. But yeah, lots of little patchworks of vibrant green. Almost like neon, I don't know. There's some very, very green stuff. Vibes. Yeah. Well, I mean yeah, I mean I do use the word vibes a lot. But a lot of times that feeling that you get when you walk through a place is never going to be captured in a single image, like from a real photo, but you can play up, like for example, I always use like the example of like walking through a marketplace or something, right? You might have like when you walk through that place, you might have like some sort of almost like a sensory overload, all the smells, the sounds, the noises, right? The colors of people moving, but like not enough, like you can't really focus in on one person because there's just a bunch of people. And like if you were to take a photo of that, you could focus in on every person, right? Because they're not moving, they're static. And so the vibe would be all the color swirling together, all the sensory information just kind of like it's the vibe of the place. But so you wouldn't want to paint exactly what you see, right? Because it wasn't about that. It was this like experience of walking through it. And so what you see is not the same as how you make that someone feel what you saw, right? Like there's a disconnect there. And I think that's something that I think is always present, even if it's not a busy marketplace scene with lots of people, even if it's just like a field. Yeah, yeah, and I think this is always the thing from when I paint from photos. Like, I don't think you want to make it exactly like the photo. Because especially when you can literally walk through the place, right? You can be like, what is it like? And you're like, wow, there sure is a lot of green. But if you were to take this image, you can only see a little bit of green. And so maybe you want to do so, or this one, the background is surprisingly blue. And yet maybe it doesn't quite, maybe you want to amp up the vibrancy or something. Hey dude, Sharky, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. But yeah, that's one of the things I just really like about this plein air painting, or this virtual, street view. It's just also all these little plants that are like different shapes and sizes. Little almost like not a checkerboard pattern, but like just lots of little sporadic shapes with all those vibrant greens speckled throughout. But yeah, I hope you're doing well, Sharky. Okay, let's put some of this. Let's put this tower in here. Actually, no, not yet. Let's sketch in. I actually like. I know this is a camera effect, so it's not super realistic. But I like this sort of like flaring out effect of the light. It's kind of neat. I think it's neat anyway. So I kind of want to paint some of that. Probably is not what you would experience if you were there. Because again, a lot of this has to do with the camera, I think. That's okay. And little bits of light. Joe, I did a painting, and I did post it. I think I tagged you. It was fun. I haven't tried digital painting much at all, so we'll need to practice. Oh, that's awesome! I did not see it because I'm bad at checking my own Discord. But let me take a look. Let me take a peek in the Discord, in the old cord. Here, let me turn this screen off though, because I don't know if where did you post it, by the way? Did you Sharky, you posted it in art, probably. Hey Skittle, how's it going? How's it going? Okay, hold on. I'm looking. I'm looking for the art. Why do I not see it? Oh, it's on Instagram. Okay, let me take a look. Let me take a look on Instagram. Instagram. Also, hi Skittle. Hope you're doing well. Monday map Monday map munchies on a Thursday. Thursday. Yes, exactly. Notifications. I don't see it. Is it in messages? General. Sharky artwork. Okay, I'll take. Let me take a look. Sharky artwork. Search. Why can't I search? Where's the search? Search. Sharky artwork. Ooh, okay, I see it. Nice. I don't know why the tag didn't show up for me. I like it. I think you did a good job with this. Like everything reads nicely. You got good, the trees are not the same value as the sky, so they read nicely there. Everything's nice. I like it. Good job. Thank you for sharing. Um, it's the trees were in my paddock in Wales. It's from a photo. Oh, it looks nice. The rant. I wasn't ranting. Okay, but we are painting. Back to painting. Uh, nice rant, Redeem. I appreciate it. Thanks. Any tips? Let's see. I mean, not really. Like, I think, I mean, like, there's always going to be things to improve, but, like, for a first painting, I mean, that's dang good. Like, I don't know, keep on painting. I feel like the real tip is to, like, keep on doing it, right? And have fun doing it and find things about maybe eat. Like, this is a tip where maybe it's, I don't know, it almost might even be advanced in the sense that, like, it's certainly not the order of things that I learned stuff, but like the focus on a thing that you like and say, "Oh, this is interesting," and then make that the subject. Like even if it's something mundane or tiny or whatever, just find the things and then make those the main subject of the painting. And I think as long as you're painting stuff like it seems like you have an understanding of some stuff and like the more you paint, the more you're going to like get a feel for it and I think most of the fundamental stuff is you're gonna pick that up as you go because you probably are already familiar with a lot of those concepts. It's just a matter of putting them into practice. So I don't think being like nitpicking all the little stuff that like all the fundamental things, I don't think that's necessarily gonna do you any good because I think it's probably just a matter of like getting in the reps at this, like if that's the first digital painting that you've done in like a year or more, then I don't really have any real advice other than keep on painting. And each time you paint, like find something about your painting and be like, oh, let's work on that aspect next time, right? So each painting is sort of, I don't know. So maybe that's not very good specific advice, but I think when you only have like one painting under your belt, there's not much really to say other than like keep going because it's looking good and you're doing great. So I don't know. Is that like a non-answer? But that's my answer. Yeah, exactly. Getting used to brushes, getting used to the program, getting used to different ways of working, try different things, right? I think in the early stages it's not about like trying to make a good painting. Like don't get me wrong, your painting looks perfectly fine. But the goal shouldn't probably be to like make the best painting. It's more about just like playing around with your tools and getting used to because like there will be a point when you just want to make a good painting and you're like, "Oh, this is where I want to smudge. This is where I want to use a lasso tool." And like if you haven't practiced using those tools, you're never going to be able to do that when you actually want to like, knock it out of the park. Like I think do you switch between a paintbrush and blend? So not really. I did in this one only because of the sky, but like in this, I don't think I used the blending tool a single time. So no blending tool used in this painting. Uh, a lot of blending tool used in this because I was trying to mix the sky and make it like very smooth. So yeah, no. And can you make your streams as VODs? They are all VODs on YouTube, actually. I have every single stream, well, every stream that I remember. Yeah. Yeah, you can rewatch them on YouTube. Yep. YouTube.com/JStiller30 is where all my VODs are. If you go to the live section, it will both show me live right now, and also it'll autosave as a VOD. But yeah, no, thanks for sharing, Sharky. I appreciate it. This might be a little bit messy, but on some level, I don't think it matters if these are perfectly straight. Also, this is very low resolution. Ooh, live section. I didn't realize that was a thing. It is a thing. And it'll show any video that at one point was live, that'll show up there. Now, I don't know what I want to do here. It's very faint. I don't know. There's not a lot going on up here. Just kind of drawing lines. I don't know. This painting, I feel like is going to be a tough one for me to make interesting. But I do want to try. You are a head on a pair of legs at the moment. Yes, I am a head on the pair of legs. Yep. Yep. Somebody redeemed the rant. Here, maybe you can't. Yeah, let's make it so you can see the painting a little better. I am a head on a pair of legs. That is actually what I look like. Believe it or not, that is me. Yes, you would never know, but because when I'm sitting here like this, you can't see my legs start like right here, like right. I'm touching my legs right now. This is where my legs start. Just chest down, I'm all legs. Very leggy. Do a dance. Yeah. I let's see. I do like this very green is kind of fun. It's a little weird. It's not quite what you might expect in a landscape, but I mean this painting, honestly, the more I'm painting it, the less exciting it is. But that's okay. Surely there are ways to make it exciting. Maybe we inject some color in there. Maybe I should have exaggerated the size of this. I do like the sky flows scene towards the brightest spot in the distance. Yeah, it's kind of neat. There definitely are some cool things about that. I also think these paintings can be a fun opportunity to try like different techniques or different like methods of doing things. So maybe I want to add more detail in the foreground. You like it? Does this mean my tastes aren't exciting? No, that's not what that means. That means my tastes might not be exciting. Maybe your tastes are completely exciting. Or maybe all of our tastes are equally uninteresting, but we just happen to like them because that's how tastes work. I think that works. But no, we've actually had this conversation before. Sometimes when you like I like if I put myself down on accident, or if I say something like, "Oh, I don't like this," but you're like, "But I like this," Does that mean my taste sucks? Like, I get that, and yeah, that's never my intent, but I understand that maybe some people feel like that. That's what I'm saying, but that's not what I'm saying. Or at least that's not what I'm trying to say. Maybe we put little distant things in the back. Do you use custom hotkeys or the default? So I am using more or less the Photoshop hotkeys. Not completely, but pretty close to the Photoshop hotkeys. I'm not using Clip Studio hotkeys, so I did rebind them all. So does that answer? So yes, they're custom, kind of. Hotkeys to me are a thing where you know, it doesn't really matter what they are as long as, like, for me the most important thing was that they were all on the left side of my keyboard because that's where my hand is, and I don't want my hand to have to like jump across my keyboard. It makes it slower and awkward, and I don't know, just not as nice to have to do. Okay, I'm just putting random shapes and colors in here. This isn't terrible. You know what? I'm just gonna make this bigger. Just stretching the entire thing that I made. And then we can erase some of this. Or I can't erase it because it's all in one layer. Okay, let's go back. You're being deeply insidious. Yeah. No, I got it. This paint almost feels like I'm on a bike or a fast car. Well, in this scene, it is taken from a car, so that would make sense that maybe there would be the feeling of you being in a car. Because it is taken from a car. All of Street Views, almost all of Street Views taken from a car. Technically not all of it, but most of it. There are some like footage of like people walking around. Not footage, but like, you know what I mean. People on feet. That's not what footage means. But yeah, I'm just trying to add like lots of blurry shapes and stuff in here because this scene is not like pristine. There's a lot of texture and shapes and stuff. And I think that's, to me, that's something that I'm trying to play around with for these types of scenes. Because like that adds to the vibe. I'm saying the word again. We need like a counter that every time I say the word vibe, we get a counter. Vibes, right? The vibes of the place. I think somebody who does that really good job of that is uh, Nathan Fowkes. Nathan Fowkes he uses lots of color and light and just really good color work, but also he uses a lot of like textury brushes that really get a sense of like all the twigs and sticks and stuff. So when he's painting a place, the texture will just speak volumes of like making you feel like the place. It's very neat. He does a good job of that. And it also looks very effortlessly when he does it. Would that tower be leaning too much? Maybe. Or would it be leaning so much? I mean, no, I don't think it's leaning. I think it's just like 3-point perspective. Right? These are like this. These are like this. They're all leaning. It's not really leaning. We're leaning. This is how it is, right? We are leaning. The tower is straight. We're a bit of a fisheye lens here. That's my excuse. The car is going fast on two wheels. Yeah, exactly. The car is about ready to tip over. That's why it looks the way it does. That's the reason. Not because I painted it funny. No way. Okay, anyway, I think this is a good one to. Okay, let's go move on. There's only so much time I can spend on that particular location. Sharky, actually, you asked if there was any additional advice. So on your painting, not to like, I think I do have something, which is I guess like color observation probably. Like if you're painting from photo, I think a lot of times when people, especially when you first start painting, your colors are much more saturated than like in real life. A lot of times in real life, colors can get very gray. Even like a vibrant blue sky. Oh, Basilisk! Thank you for the sub. Thanks for the 9-month sub. I appreciate it, Basilisk. Hope you're well. I am doing very well. Also, Basilisk, your name is Blue. I mean, I'm sure you're aware of that, but like, I'm so used to seeing you as red. Hope you're doing well, Basilisk. But yeah, I think in real life, typically the colors, even when your brain tells you that they're vibrant green, there's a lot of gray in here, right? And I think this is something that if you do like real life painting outside, most people really struggle with because like paints come in these super saturated tubes, and then your brain associates like bright green grass with bright green, so you pick your bright green paint tube. But like that bright green grass is probably a lot less bright green than you think it is. And so yeah, things like making the sky less blue and making the green less green, that kind of stuff. I find that's a good thing to play around with when you're starting doing especially digital painting, because you have access to every color. It's like you have pure paint tubes, and so just trying to like, instead of reaching for the most vibrant green, you reach for like a very gray green, because you can always make it more vibrant later. Because like even this stuff, right, is not as green as it could be, right? Even the most vibrant green I have is like, I don't know, 80% vibrancy, right? I could have made it much more saturated, but I didn't. And even this might be too saturated. But that's just a thing it's a good thing to like, I don't know, it's an easy thing to work on without having to get too focused in on like all the other fundamentals, and just being able to have fun. Hey, Kath, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. We're doing Map Crunch Monday on a Thursday. Okay, next location. Let's go. Where shall we go? Let's spin the wheel. And it's another forest. Not a forest, another road. Go figure. This one's much more foresty, though. Look at that. I bet it opens up to a clearing out here, and then there's a field. Or maybe not. Where are we? Yucatan. I like... Ooh, this is a Oh, no. Just kidding. How gorgeous. Look at all this beautiful roadside trash. That's disappointing. You see a place like this and you're like, oh, it's so gorgeous. And then you look and you're like, oh, no, it's not. Wait, this sucks. That's depressing. Is this just like their dump? Is they just dump their garbage? That's sad. Colorful trash. I'm sitting some cats right now. Oh, awesome. I read that it's sitting on some cats. I thought that's not good. That's awesome though. Cat sitting. Great. They fell asleep on top of you and you haven't been able to make dinner yet? No. That's cool though. Cat sitting's always fun. Okay, maybe there's something here we can paint. Or we spin the wheel again. You know what? I'm going to spin the wheel again. I don't want to paint green. Less green. Oh, this is more gray. Oh, look, more power poles. Is this the stream where we just paint power poles? Or a highway? You paint a road? Actually, this is pretty cool. I kind of like that, actually. I don't know where that shade is coming from. Is that literally from a cloud? Look at this shadow. Is that not crazy? Okay, I'm gonna paint this. I like this scene. Because I like that shadow right in the middle. Cloud cover. Yeah, that cloud cover is it's such a stark contrast. It's kind of neat. I think there's definitely something there. Like the car headlights. Yeah, the car headlights are kind of cool. So whoops, I didn't mean to do that. I'm gonna play up, I think, this shadow right here. Also, if you guys want the link here, here's the link. Cute, how many cats? 2 little orange boys, says Kath. Oh, it's fun. Nap days are so good. That's awesome. Okay, so yeah, I think for this one, I'm gonna play up the blue. And go really, really blue. And make it look like it's coming out of fog or something. We'll get the mountains back here. We'll get this foreground. I mean, I do like that it's a bit like a yellow gray. How do you use layers when I'm painting? I mostly use one layer, but I will occasionally make new layers as like a way to sort of save my progress, but I don't typically go back. I don't use layers as like a, this layer's for light, this layer's for shadow, right? I don't really organize my layers that way. I just will, especially if I'm going to do something, let's say I'm going to, well, so right now I'm painting on one layer, right? But when I do make another layer, I'll let you know, and I'll point it out. Because I will probably make another layer. Also, I want to get this. So right now I'm just sketching out some composition stuff. There's going to be some plants up here. There's going to be some plants over here. Actually, these plants don't go up that high. Will you add the key press? Oh, I do need to get the key press app. Yes. I want to get the key bind app so you guys can see the keys that I'm pressing. I think it would be kind of a fun addition. But okay, so like maybe let's say I'm gonna make a new layer right here. I might do this because maybe I like my sketch and I'm kind of afraid of messing it up. And that way, like if for example I want to sketch in the car here, maybe I'm not confident, and so I want to sketch in the car, and maybe I decide that I don't actually want the car at all. So maybe I'll just delete it, or I can move it, or I can scale it. So for example, here I'll just delete it. And then maybe I'll make a new layer, and now I'm just having like a random blank layer in there. But like right now, I'm still just trying to add some light. I like this this line here. It's kind of neat. Hey, a nice work so far. Thank you. I appreciate it. Hope you're doing well, Liam. Basilisk says, I also like designing creatures, and I study ecology a lot. I am a strange font of knowledge if you specifically want to know facts about animals. Basilisk with all the cat knowledge, or with all the animal knowledge. Oh, Basilisk also says, my cats and I are basically resting because we got new couches, and all the activity in the house wore us all out. Oh, that's awesome. Taking a cat nap day. That is a good, yeah, Kath is right. Nap days are good days. Doing awesome, just tuning in at the gym and listening too. Nice. Hope the gym session goes well. Okay, I am gonna try to... So I don't want this foreground to be too vibrant, right? So I'm gonna make sure the greens are very yellow. Or, yeah, very yellow-green, not like vibrant green. Kind of dead looking. There's some actual, like, not very bright colors here. Some browns. I actually really like this dark shape, these dark shapes here. And then they very quickly fade to that blue. There's a lot of atmosphere in this painting, which I like. Atmosphere is one of my favorite things to paint because it's easy and it adds depth and it just tends to look nice. Joe, can I share some art that so that Faded can see it? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, feel free to share. Sharing is always more than okay. Anyone can share art if they've made, or really even if they didn't, as long as you preface it by saying that you didn't make it. But yeah, no, sharing art's always okay. Although I do prefer people to share art they made. But it doesn't have to be. Just, I don't know. And then here, this is pretty gray, but I do kind of want to amp it up to blue. Listening to art streams while at the gym is kind of intimidating. Like, I mean, presumably you would have headphones on, right? I'm not like being broadcast throughout the gym. What do you mean it's intimidating? How so, Kath? I do like this. Headphones in, I'm just doing my grind. Yeah. Oh, most people listen to music stuff that pushes them. Fair point. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, you want to get something that gets the blood pumping. Yeah, I don't see my stream as being like gym music, right? That's not like getting your blood pumping. You know, do those exercises, get those reps in, push your art skills. I like what's the I don't know how to here's what we need. Hold on. Motivational talk good old TED Talks, you know? You're impressed? Yeah. Impressed that someone can listen to a somewhat chill live stream. Not only honing the body, but also the mind. Okay, I wouldn't go that far. I don't think my stream is honing your mind, but we can pretend. Please, nothing gets my blood pumping than someone doing art when I'm not doing anything or any art. Amazing. I do like the fact that painting 2 looks like a Peter Woolley watercolor. I love the style you both have, especially on grass and foliage. I don't know who that is, but I'll take it as a compliment. Nourishing your brain with Stiller's wisdom. Okay, stop. I can't. If that's aura farming, then yeah, I've got all the aura. I can't. Can't. Okay. We are gonna... So I do like this. I do like this painting. This one that I'm doing right now. I like the colors. I also like that there's this nice layer here of light. And also, I'm going to make this very vibrant. So these foreground area. And then it goes in here. And then we have like a brighter color in the shadow. So fluffy. Ooh, hold on. Let me take a look. And then here, yellower. Boom. I think that works. Get those bright highlights in the sun, and then it crosses over into the shadow, and then we get those bluish, bright blue. We could put a little bit of those darker blues in here also. It's like a shadow. Could also paint the street lines as mostly white. Although I'm not sure if I want to actually do that. They're surprisingly bright already. And then back here, they just don't even need to be seen hardly. Nothing back there matters too much. You can't really see it. I feel like as the painting goes further back, it just doesn't matter as much because it gets blurry anyway. Okay, let's take a look at the... it's not a frog, but it's the most recent thing you drew. Let's take a look. Oh, this is so cute. This is a very nice cat. Look at the art from Basilisk. Can I share this? Can I share your art? This is so cute. Really amazing job. Look at Basilisk's art. Look at the cat. Look how fluffy it is. And that smile with the tilted head. I love it. I love it so much. Basilisk says, I haven't been drawing much in the last year for health and personal reasons, but I'm getting back into it now. I think that's awesome. I mean, not the part that you didn't draw for a year due to the health and personal reasons. That's not awesome. But I hope your health is getting better, and also glad you are drawing again. That's the drawing again's the awesome part. The good name real. How's it going? Hello. Anwa says nice on YouTube. Okay, so here, let's sketch in the car. I don't like drawing cars, but I am going to draw a car. We're going to do the car. We're going to go like that, and then I'm going to put a little blob. And then in this image, I see two little dots that are the headlights above the tires. And then I see slightly blue, which is, we're going to have to sort this out because we need contrast. And I basically just see that. There's very little in here that makes it look like... Yeah, there's very little in here. Also, this is very tiny of a car. So, I think we can do this and make it larger. Okay, so yeah, that was a case where I was on a separate layer. I think also, like here, you know, there's going to be shadows underneath. I think I can make this darker, but I'm actually going to do something. I'm gonna play around with darkness. Oh, what's happening? The good name real gift sub, a bunch of gift subs. You guys are gonna have to put up with the screaming cowboy for a moment. Thank you so much for all the tier 1 subs. The Pepperly, Loose Cat Levy, a Blue Skittle, and QPie13. Thank you so much for all the subs. Thank you very much. That's extremely generous of you. No. That means a lot. Maybe I should make this thing shorter. No, I like it. Thank you. Yes, yes. All here, yeah. Let me spam the emotes. Good. Hold on. I have to there's ways to spam emotes, but I'm gonna do it a different way. But yeah, thank you so much. Your VODs have helped me so much. Very hard to find great unedited art videos, and yours are right up the style I love. Oh, well, I'm glad. Hopefully I don't do too much rambling in the VODs. But I guess the good thing about VODs is you can skip around, so that's a benefit, I guess. But no, I appreciate it. And I'm glad to hear that you can get something from the VODs. I'm spamming the emotes. Oh, I didn't get the animated ones. That's okay. But yeah, no, that means a lot to hear. And actually, that's something that I've been happy with doing, is putting the VODs on YouTube for that reason specifically. Also, I don't know quite what I'm doing here. I'm kind of making this line a little darker than it needs to be, just for like added effect. I'm using a overlay or a multiply layer, not overlay. And then I just erase the background very destructively. I could have done it with like a layer mask. I think that's a good... Yeah, that's not bad. Now we need to up the contrast again in the light. And I feel like I want to pump up the jam. No, I want to pump up the lighting here in the light. Or in the shadow. So I'm going to use like a warmer light than the car actually is. This drawing can be a metaphor. Art rambling is greater than music. Pump that jam. Yeah, pump up the jam. Exactly. Get those headlights nice and bright. Yeah, and also like making them warmer than it normally is. Like so from the image that I'm drawing from, right? This one. They're not that bright, and also they're not that warm. Like, you know, I didn't make it super blue because it is a daytime scene. It's not a nighttime scene. But I just felt like the headlights would be neat if they were more vibrant. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm trying to play with that vibrancy a little. I could even come in here and do something like, you know, that little glow that people like to add on the border of the light and the shadow. Just put a little bit of glow there. Maybe this could be a little bit more foggy. I think these, we could play around with some shapes. I also like all the small stuff back here. There's lots of layering and overlapping of objects, like little trees and foliage, right? So if I bring this back here, there's all these little things back here that you can just barely see. And I think just layering them in gives that texture that's kind of nice. It really makes the place feel further away, all that stuff. There is a little bit of like green in here, whereas in my image there's very little green because I made it so blue. And I'm not sure if I like that. I think we can still get some shadows in here. Do I want to bring in blue or green in here? I'm not actually sure. Maybe a little bit. Something like that. I'm mixing that green that I had up here, this darker green, with this. So I'm mixing it and getting like a new green that's a little darker. That way it blues it up. It adds some cool... It cools it down is what I mean. Blues it up. That's not a word. Basilisk says, I won't get too into it because I want this to be a happy comment, but I do want to take a moment and celebrate that I did get better. That's good, because without being specific, I'm really lucky to be alive, and this community has been a wonderful place for me and for a little piece, and I'm wanting to share, so I hope that's okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. And I'm very happy that you're doing better. Makes me happy to hear. And thanks for being here, Basilisk. And thank you for the sub. I feel like throughout the years, you definitely have been like a fairly big contribution to the community, and just not just my community, but just Twitch in general. And I feel like being active in various art communities and like that's a very real thing. So thank you for that. How do you deal with Clip Studio's brush lag? I don't have brush lag. I think it's just so I think generally if you turn up brush spacing, so that in the brush settings there are like brush tip, And then, nope, not there. Where is it? Stroke? Spacing, maybe. You can change the spacing right here. And if you make the spacing too low, then it will lag because it will make everything like smooth, too smooth. Whereas if you up it, then it's gonna be like a gap or something. Else I don't know what I was at before. But yeah, basically you don't want the spacing too tiny, right? Allow it to overlap. Also, like painting on lower resolutions. I don't typically paint super high resolution. I mean, this stuff right now, because it's very sketchy, is extremely low resolution. But you know, I don't typically. I think also just painting small, like as a general rule, helps with it. And then if I want to do like a big painting, I will still start small, but then I'll res it up, and then I'll when I zoom in, that's like basically when I'm ready to zoom into the details is when I'll up res the painting, because then these don't need to be crisp and detailed. That way then I can do high pixels here and not have to have it lag the rest of my painting, if that makes sense. So I guess as an example, oops, here, let me close this. The hydrate. Okay. So let's say I am painting this. And this is going to be my painting. Let's do this one. So let's say this is my painting, and I've made this painting at only 800 pixels wide. It was very, very tiny. There might be a point, though, where I take the painting, because maybe I like the sketch, but I want to do some details. And I can't add details here because it's too pixelated and I don't have enough resolution. So what I do is I just copy the whole thing. I crop my paint, I make my painting wider, and I just literally stretch it. And it will make it pixelated, don't get me wrong. But now I can actually zoom in and start refining some of these details, and I can go over them if I need, and I can focus more on details. Because the rest of it doesn't really matter. Like, this stuff isn't really affected much because it's so blurry anyway, like it wasn't ever in focus. And now I just kind of, it's like I'm zooming in and adding focus where I want. So now I can go back over my sketch and refine the details. So typically I kind of work from a big to small stage anyway. So by the time I get to details, I'm not, but if I were to do like a big brush or something and try to paint really fast, it might lag. I mean, this isn't, but if I were to make this much larger, let's try it. VerScience. Skittle hath demanded it. Sip that tea, Joe. Hold on. So if I make my painting way bigger, not that. Hold on. Uh-oh. I think I goofed up. So this is 11,000 pixels wide. This is too big. If I... Oh, is gonna like... Hopefully this doesn't crash Clip Studio. Is this gonna crash? Okay, so this is... Let me save this first, just in case I crash it. Okay, so if I'm painting on a very large... This is gonna lag me. See? This is gonna lag me so much. So, like, in this sense, I can't be painting these big shapes with this brush, right? This is too laggy. This is awful. But if I'm doing details... This doesn't affect me at all, right? I could still paint small details at this resolution. So I think for me, it's really just scaling the painting at a rate that you're comfortable painting. So if I wanted to paint on a canvas that's 11,000 pixels wide, I would never do this, by the way, but if I wanted to, this would be at like the very ending stage where I really want to show off these crisp details. And everything else can be loose and painterly and smudgy and like, if that makes sense. How did you get the frame line so straight? Oh, if you hold shift, when you draw a line, you paint a dot, or you touch your canvas, and then you hold shift, and it gives you like a thing, and then you can just make a straight line. You can make any shape, but They're straight lines. So yeah, you can make just little shapes like this. Very, yeah, just perfectly straight. It's not too bad. You still have to, like, either use a ruler or eyeball it or something. Random shape. Okay. Let's take a look at the stuff that's being posted. I'm missing some stuff. And another, let me know. Oh yeah, no, you're good. I do want another. Okay. Oh yeah, I have 3. I have shared one. Okay, here's one. Oh, this is cute. The tea time reminder. Amazing. Also, I did not forget. I am drinking tea. Skittle hath spoken. Yeah, sorry, I'm behind on chat. Basilisk, this is such a cute emote. Okay, let's take a look. I want to see them all, says Kath. Magic! Oh, I like that one too. That's cute. Little dino. The dino with the or is that a dino? I think it's dino. It's Dinocorn. It has a unicorn head horn. Amazing. Wait, what was the first one? No, that was the tea time. What was the second one? Yeehaw, partner. Oh, that's amazing. I love that. Those are so good. Those are great, Basilisk. I love that. The Yeehaw partner. That's great. I'm making a coffee and a tea one because tea and coffee drinkers have different vibes. They do, don't they? So now I'm curious, what is in your words or in anyone's words, what are the vibes of a coffee drinker and what are the vibes of a tea drinker? Now I'm curious. Slightly self-conscious, but I'm very curious. As a tea drinker, what are my vibes? I want to know. I feel like both can have chill vibes, right? I'm not super chill. Fun. Okay, no flattery, be honest. What is the difference between a tea drinker and a like if you had to generalize, and I know making generalizations is not the greatest thing to do, but if you had to generalize all coffee drinkers into one group. Coffee drinkers are all dysfunctional and tea drinkers are functional. Ooh, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. That's a bold statement, Kath. Am I functional? I don't know. I might be dysfunctional. I said what I said, Kath said. You did. Coffee drinkers drink coffee to function and get so amped for coffee even if it doesn't wake them up. Like I use as a mild stimulant for ADHD, and tea drinkers drink tea because it's chill. They go, ooh, this is nice. And coffee drinkers go, hell yeah, coffee. Fair point. Okay. Okay. That's, I mean, there's a logic to it. Whether or not it perfectly encapsulates all coffee drinkers, probably not, but we'll just pretend it does. That's fair. I'm executive dysfunctional. Executively dysfunctional. Makes it sound extra fancy. Hey Skittle, how's it going? Smash that button. Why are we button mashing? What's happening? Executively dysfunctional makes it sound like you're wearing a suit and you're like the head of a corporation, but also just dysfunctional. Uh, it's like very fancy. Like, look at me in my expensive suit. Like dysfunctionally executive. I don't know why. I just imagine like a person in a suit in an office or like Basilisk says, I also like tea. I drink it too, but coffee is your daily ritual drink. Fair enough. The higher caffeine helps my nerves not feel like bees. It's probably a good reason to drink coffee over tea. I have some tea right now that is mint. It's black tea, but it's mint flavored. It has a mint in it. It's really good, actually. The thing is, I neither drink tea nor coffee. What am I? I don't know. Your favorite, Kath, your favorite beverage is water? Is that... It's reminding me of Dungeons and Daddies. You are... Where your favorite TV show is The Sunrise? But yeah, that's let's see. That's funny. Okay. I think I'm ready to move on to the next one. I don't think I need to spend a lot of time on this. Maybe I can get these center lines. My favorite car is walking. Ooh, I haven't got... Wait, is that one that did they say that? I didn't know that. I don't think I've heard that one yet. Spoilers. Not surprising. But I'm not that far. I think I'm on episode 18. I feel like that's going to be one of the Henry Oak dad facts on that podcast. Okay, let's do another map crunch. Let's go to a new location. Sorry, I'm all over the place. There's so much going on. Okay, map crunch. So this is map crunch. You can see my screen. I'm gonna go hit random. We're gonna go to another random place. Ooh, this is a fun spot. Very red sand. Not red sand. Red dirt. Look at that dirt. Also, that car is speeding towards us. I kind of want to get some architecture, though. Maybe there's some architecture on the side of the road somewhere. This is not... There's animals. There's cows. We've found cows. Look at them. Look at them cows. Just chilling on the road. On the side of the road. Dirt Man is coming for you. Ooh, it's way later. Sorry for the spoiler. No, it's all good. It doesn't surprise me that that is a fact about Henry Oak. I assume it's a Henry Oak fact. Favorite transportation or favorite car is walking. Ooh, we got some. I assume there's some there. What are they doing in there? What's happening? There's something on fire. I assume they it's brick and they what are they cooking? Is that for heat or like what's the purpose of this structure? Now I'm curious. A brick kiln maybe. Yeah, maybe it's for a kiln for bricks. Possibly. Maybe. I don't know. It's very large, I feel like. I mean, I guess if you're and I feel like hot box. No, I think they are. It's probably got to be for like bricks. Charcoal, maybe. There's lumber around. Yeah, maybe. True. Yeah, maybe it's for charcoal. I don't know. True. There do be lumber around. Let's see what else we can find. Some interesting stuff. Maybe cooking? Not with that much smoke. That's gotta be, the whole place has gotta be up in fire. It feels like, if it's rural India, they might be baking dung cakes. Charcoal, but made of manure. Is this India? I don't know. It says central region, but it doesn't tell me which central region. If I were better at GeoGuessr, I could tell you where this is, but I don't know. Burning the cows? I don't think they're burning the cows. It's possible, but I highly doubt it. Wait, was this wall the whole way here? No. That's kind of cool. Just a big wall. Oh, maybe it's not that cool. I don't think that structure could withstand an escaping cow. Maybe the cows are burning the human. Oh no. Ooh, history rabbit hole. Basilisk, I'm focusing on drawing more regularly and the occasional world building, which I do some because I was inspired by some random history rabbit hole you went down. Ooh, that is fun. Yeah, Basilisk, do you know there's a streamer who does a lot of world building and he seems quite knowledgeable with history? Called Ronald P. Maxwell. He raids us sometimes. He does a lot of world building, and a lot of it is based on like historical stuff and just all sorts of knowledge, and it's very cool. I really enjoy. I feel like using history and knowledge like that, historical knowledge to do world building is great. Also, I don't know if I want to paint anything from here. Let's go to another random spot. Sorry. Oh, this is interesting. This is something. I was not expecting this location. What in the world? Why is it so yellow? Is this because, like... Oh, that's just because literally yellow lights. Huh. I mean, we could do, like, a painting of this. I wasn't expecting that. That's kind of an interesting scene. Let's do it. This is very weird. It's a very strange split place to be doing a plein air painting, but I kind of like it. I mean, there's a lot of noise and there's a lot of poor camera quality, but that's okay. Okay, this is getting very, very hard to see. Go back until we can see better. This one's going to require a lot of... Is this my computer? Is this a me thing? No, this isn't. This is just what it looks like. I like the truck too, the back of it. Okay. I think this is a good scene, a fun scene to paint. You should do a GeoGuessr thing first before the scenes. I want to know where we are. Well, this says Predor Jasovnik. Predor Jasovnik. Let me Google that. Copy, paste. I wish it would tell me more information. I don't know where it is. Okay, where is this? Let's see. Let's translate. Slovenia? Maybe? I don't know. I'm actually not sure. I want you to guess. No, I'm bad at GeoGuessr. I don't know where stuff is. My geography is that's maybe it actually would be kind of fun, but not this time. I am awful at GeoGuessr. I am like the worst. Okay, let's paint this spot. This is gonna be an interesting painting. But no, you're right, Kath. It would be fun to try and guess. I would have never gotten this in a million years though, because how am I to know where this is? The cat's moved. Finally, you can make some dinner. See you later. See ya, Kath. Thanks for popping in. Good to see you. Enjoy your food. Enjoy cat sitting. All right, so I think here... I don't know the best way to do this. A lot of times tunnels have like a dark end or a light end. But this has like bands, and I feel like a lot of this is going to come down to the perspective. Maybe we'll use our bright red again, because bright red is fun. Well, we're going to paint this truck here. The truck there. Going in, our eye line is going to be right here. Does the tunnel not get darker in the distance either way? A little bit, but it's not much. And not relative to, like, the dark stuff up here. Like the occlusion areas in the foreground. Like, because there's these little things that go off in the distance. These technically get lighter. So, like, it kind of gets darker as it goes further in, but not really. It's more of, like, these shadows. I think it's more of, like, concentric shadows. And like, they're still... I don't know. Like, the values are fairly... I mean, it does get a little darker, but not much. I don't know. It's tricky. It's a tricky thing to paint, I think. Or it's gonna be. Also, I can't actually see the tires on this car. Or on this truck. Okay, let's take some orange, very orange painting. Gonna go a little bit that and that. Also, this could be moved over. Oh, I'm on the wrong layer. Or by wrong layer, I mean I'm on one layer. Oh, we cannot see the ref? Oh, why not? Oh, it was behind me. There you go. But that's okay. No, it's not okay. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. We gotta see the ref. Okay. Just putting in some colors. I don't exactly know how I'm gonna fiddle with this one and make the colors different. It's a very strange value distribution. It is, right? Artificial lighting is wacky. It's hard to like wrap my head around it, to be honest. But I think you still have occlusion areas, darker spots in the foreground, darker occlusion in the foreground. Like normal. I think a big thing is gonna be like spacing from like amongst the lights. So for example, these top lights up here, we're gonna have some bright spots. right? And then they're going to get smaller as they go further back. Also, these rings are going to get bigger. I'm not confident in my ability to do this one. This is going to be a tough one. I think I'll get there, but it's going to take some work. I mean, I could just fudge it and make it like darker, you know, lighter in the foreground and darker in the background, like uniformly, but that's not how it is. And so it's kind of, I mean, it's a little bit like that, but not really. You've got this, Joe. Thanks. Yeah, I think what I want to do is just start with some lines and some patterns that kind of get the vibe. You know, there's a shadow on this wall. Also, I don't need to be painting in red, but I am because it's fun. This shadow's here. I'm gonna make it a little darker and go purpler, more purple. There's that. There's some cars back here. I think. Something like that. These lines are not perfectly round because my lines are not great here, but again, I don't actually need these lines to be perfect. I probably should be more precise. But I'm mostly just trying to sketch in some stuff here to give myself some guidelines to work with. It's those street lights. I've read about them before. They're somehow it doesn't pick up color. Yeah. High pressure sodium lights, whatever that means. Yeah. They do make things weird colored for sure. But yeah, just any indoor lighting is always going to have very strange values because like the light is sort of localized, right? You have a light here and a light here and a light here. You don't have just have one big sun, right? And so you kind of have this banding. Like there's light here, and then there's a spot here that's bright, and then a spot here that's bright, and then these bands get closer and closer, and so it gives the illusion that it's darker and darker. But you kind of just have these bands that are closer, I feel like. Something like that. Okay. Now, let's try to solve some color stuff. Artificial light is also really weak in comparison, like fast fall off. Yeah, I think, yeah, typically, exactly. Yeah, so you just get this like soft, weird, bubbly gradient where like there's little localized gradients around the light source, but then they quickly fall off. And yeah, it's very weird. Okay, I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna do a multiply, and I'm gonna do an airbrush, and I'm gonna take this and just maybe I'll take a blue, just for fun. Blue is kind of a weird color here, but that's okay. And then little bits of light here. I'm painting in little rings. And then bands, rings and bands all the way down. I think that's starting to get the illusion. And then here we can start grabbing these colors and start getting some of this in there. So we're just like painting alongside these tunnels, adding some of the texture of brush strokes leading inward to kind of give that illusion. Now I do like that this truck has this bright yellow thing helping us out with the perspective there. It's kind of nice. I don't know what it says, so I'm just gonna write truck. There, truck. That's what's on the back of all trucks, right? And they have text. Every truck just says truck on it. That way you know it's a truck. Something like that. And then no, this is car. No, the one back here is car. This one's car. Except we can't write car on it because it's too small. Hey Ike, so does that mean that all the trucks that say Swift are driven by Taylor? Yes. Yes, that's exactly how that means. Or any of the other Swift. Or maybe it's just saying that the truck is Swift. Like, not driven by, but like this is a truck. It's not driven by a truck unless it's self-driving. But it just is a truck. So maybe the Swift ones just are Swift. That's what that means. Hope you're doing well, Ike. How's the day? I wonder if I want to introduce like purples or another color. I kind of feel like the shadows, to me, feel purple. Like they're not purple, but they feel purple. I don't know if that makes any sense at all. The vibe is purple. Okay. Not loving this. But I'm not hating it either. I could go in and make it more vibrant by doing like an overlay. And if I were just to grab orange and paint in orange, I would get closer to what the actual image is. But I kinda... I really want to focus on making sure the tunnel feels like a tunnel, you know? So painting along the form a lot. We could actually look up references for like fantasy art of tunnels or of other images of tunnels and see if there aren't some little subtle cues that we could use. I know Magic the Gathering just had a Ninja Turtles set come out, or maybe not just, but a while ago. And I bet you there's some sewer paintings of like tunnels in the sewer system, which I'm pretty certain there is. Could be good images to look up, see how they paint just very boring flat tunnels. I'm sure they have like lots of graffiti on it and stuff that like to help show the contours. Any details that could be put alongside these kind of paint along the perspective. Not bad, just sitting down to do some comic work while listening to some Twitch for noise. Nice. Happy to be your noise. Or anyone else's. Yeah, I think now I want these lights to shine. And they need to shine like that. In a row, in a path. There. Something like that. Not bad. Sketch while listening to stream. Let's take a look. Ooh, I like this one. This is a nice one. Very, very, very clear and clean with the values. I like that one a lot. This is super cool. Look at this. Can I I'm going to share it on screen. It's great. Amazing work. Look at those clear values. Nice shapes. Nice path leading into the scene. That's really cool. Thank you so much for sharing. That's awesome. Okay, so this is... Okay, now I want to explore, because even though this image isn't terrible, I want to play around with what if I do like this? What if I bring these shadows darker in the foreground? Or what if I make them darker in the background, right? Like, I'm just kind of trying to play with like where because I think I don't want to make this too dark in the background. I mean, I could. But I don't actually think that looks better. In some ways, I think the foreground being darker still looks better. Because that's still where you have the darkest, like, occlusion areas, right? Or, like, the dark of the truck is still darker than in the background. Yes, you have some dark spots in the background, too. But they feel not quite as dark. There's just more of it. So it's like, I think the darks in the foreground are still darker. There's just not as many of them. And technically the midground darks are the darkest, like this. I am kind of having fun, though. Your clear path in the VOD helped a lot with that? Oh. Well, I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, it means a lot. I mean, I'm very happy to hear that you've gotten use out of it. Yeah, again, and as always, if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to explain stuff. Like, a lot of what I'm doing here right now is based on, like, I guess kind of feeling of, like, what is not clear in the communication, and then I'm trying to communicate a little more clear. So, like, I'm intentionally adding some guidelines basically, so that I can, you know, like I'm painting on the side of the, like there's this line here, and I guess it's also in the photo, right? But I'm sort of playing it up a little bit. Uh, to try and make that feel like it's, I don't know, more in perspective. Joe vibe painting. Pretty much. I mean, like, the things I'm doing are very real things, and I'm doing them for a reason. But a lot of times it's more like I'm not making decisions based on vibes, but like using vibes as a diagnostics tool for like, does this feel right? Right? If I were walking in the scene, is there something that's weird? You know, is something off? And if so, what is it? And can I articulate it? And then I can start solving the problem. There's a black thing on the opposite wall to the truck. Yeah, I don't know what it is. This thing right here, it's like right here. It's so close to us that it should be in focus, but it's not. Here, let me take a look. Maybe if we go to Map Crunch again. Oh, these. There are some stuff. That stuff's hard to see. Emergency buttons or something. Yeah, something like that. Little camera probably up there. Yeah, we can do that. We can add some of that. It's not going to be super clear. But it's just going to be like a little shapes. Something like that. Little thingy over here too, sticking out. It does. I think, yeah, a little anything that adds a little more interest. Also, just scale, right? Like you know, maybe I add little specks over here that your brain can interpret as the same thing as this. I don't know. Maybe not. It adds like a texture, kind of, because I painted it a little soft. I mean, I'm tempted to go darker here. But if I do go darker, I don't think it's going to quite look right. Hmm. Yeah, this one's tough. Because, like, it's not just a matter of painting exactly what I see. Which is good, because that's not what I want to do. But it does make it harder. You've done a blimmin' good job on what's a tricky image. I think it's a tricky image. Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to make it exactly the same, right? Because like I am trying to add some color variety, which I think I've done an okay job in adding some textures and yeah. There is here, let me show you something. There is this MTGTMN MNT Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles images. There is some art um maybe not. I can't find it. Never mind. Never mind. I thought I could find it. I mean, I'm sure it's somewhere. Ah, yes, the Teenage Mutant Needle Teetles. The Needle Teetles. Yes. But anyway, no, they have some like sewer art, right? Of like the corridors of the sewer pathway, kind of like this. And I'm trying to recall how they did it. I should just look it up and use it as a reference. But I think that, yeah, I'm pretty sure they have like graffiti and stuff on the side in perspective, and so that helps show the sort of the flow of the scene. True, a doorway. Yeah, a doorway would be good. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Even the lines actually could add a lot because this image does have lines in it for like the breaks of the not the breaks of the wall, but the contours. But also like rust, that's another thing I could add where like sometimes there's little like uh things that are stuck in the like pegs in the wall that hold things together, and sometimes there'll be like things that drip down and they'll run down as it rusts, and so you'll get these streaks that will fall down the wall. But yeah, a door could work. But like I don't want to make these lines too vibrant, or like too standing out, because they aren't that important. They just need to be there so your brain can make sense of the space. I mean, I think it's okay. I feel like it reads as a tunnel to some degree. Gosh, this it's just hard to see. Maybe we do something like that. A little shape over here. I do like this though. There's like a okay, we're gonna make the truck more truck-like. Like that. A little bit of a truck. Uh, some signals and stuff. Some little reflectors on the side. You're pleased you gave it a go yesterday? No, I'm glad you gave it a go yesterday too. I really like what you did. That always makes me happy when people who, I mean, really anybody draws, but especially when you haven't drawn in a while and people come back and end up doing art and they haven't done it in a while. I don't know, that just makes me happy. It's an extremely, I don't know, yeah, just, yeah, it's very cool. I love hearing about that. Okay, I'm gonna call this done. I don't know what else to do here. Maybe we do another. Yeah, let's do another. I do like that it's so vibrant. It's kind of fun to do a plein air painting that isn't just like grays, because so often paintings are just very, very gray. And for good reason, right? The real world tends to be quite dull. Not in a bad way, but just like you know, you just don't get those crazy saturated colors typically in nature. Sometimes you do, but even when it feels vibrant, if you were to take a photo, it typically isn't as vibrant as you feel it is. So yeah, let's do another. Okay, we're gonna jump back into Map Crunch. Where's Map Crunch? I've lost it. I've lost. Oh, there it is. Okay, so this is what we were just painting. We could do a painting right outside of here if we go out the tunnel into the light and pop out the other side. We see the outside of the tunnel. Go figure. Ooh, does it have a name? Okay, it's not that exciting actually. Okay, let's go to a new place. Oh, you can't see this right. No, you can. Okay. New place. And then we're gonna paint one of these places. Ooh, this is gorgeous. It's too gorgeous. Skip. I don't allow myself to paint nice spots. We have to paint like the mundane. This is pretty mundane. Although I don't just want to do another road with trees. We've done that a lot. This road is a little... Ooh, it has a bridge. It's kind of nice. Okay, next. Where do we want to paint? Something... Ooh, a farm? This feels very... This is kind of fun. Nope, nope, nope. This isn't Street View. This is person on phone. Skip. One of my rules for myself is it needs to be, like, an actual Street View. It can't just... Like, see, I can't move here. I mean, I can move around, right? Because it's a panorama. But I can't, like, walk. There's one photo, and it's a panorama. There we go. This, though, we can adventure, right? So we can find something. Surely we can find something here to paint. The dirt. Sao Paulo. Oh, we're at the same dead end. Let's go back up the road. You'd like to see some water scenes? Hold on. Are we approaching the water? Water, you say? Is this water up here? On the side of the road? Right over the edge? Is there water to our left? How do I get over there? Oh, you can just cross the street. No, there's no water. Dang. Dang it, there's no water. I thought there was water. Okay, next scene. Let's look for some water. You know, 2/3 of the earth is covered in water. Surely we can find a place with water. We're up high. We're in a little thingy. Little metal thing. Is this a skate park? Bike park? Definitely seems like a spot you would bike in. Man, this would be so much fun just because like it's so secluded. I bet it's like a great time to like go out into the middle of nowhere and just hang out with your friends and bike like this. That'd be so fun. Because like it's kind of like a trek, right? Like you have to like kind of trek out into the wherever the heck this is. Like there's nothing around. You're kind of far away from, well, maybe not that far away. There's literally a city over there, but it's kind of cool. Okay, next scene. Ooh, there's water. We found water. You'd like to see a water seascape or a lake? It's a river. Does that count? A very tiny river. We found water, though. I think it counts. We'll paint this. That'll be fun. I like this. I like this little delta area. Is that what you call it? A delta? I don't know. Where you have these little, like, flatter areas. This is also nice. I like the grass in here, too. The grass is nice. Although if I do that, it's mostly going to be that painting. We could also do this and get it in, as a front. Like, this is the more classic scene, right? Where you have, like, the water in the foreground and the hills and mountains and stuff in the background. But I'm kind of thinking scene like this, right? Where it's, like, almost all looking downward. I don't know. Like, it's not as gorgeous, right? It's not as beautiful of a scene, I think, to have the focus on... Failed to open file. What? Print screen. Copy. Control V. Failing to open... What's happening? Is my computer running out of disk space and it can't save? I think that might be happening. Okay. Print screen. Copy. Paste. Why can't I paste it? Can I paste it into Clip Studio? Oh, failed to save. Let's merge all this. Yeah, my computer's struggling. Uh-oh. Image. Discord link. Yes, you can have Discord link. Absolutely. 1 second. Discord, exclamation mark. There we go. Just finished the first one. Don't expect that much. Yeah, no worries. I'd love to see. Okay, so I am trying to figure out why I can't save. So let's undo that. Trying to just delete some stuff here. Closing some things. Okay, gonna close MapCrunch for now. PureRef. There we go. I opened it. Can I save now? Yes, I can. Perfect. Okay. Now I can actually paint. I've had to close some things. My computer had too many things open. Okay. Now we can paint some water. What are we doing? What are we doing? Let's put the sky in, but very little sky. I don't want to paint a lot of sky. I think this... A lot of times when I make stuff on the ground, do like ground paintings, it's easy to like get focused on like the mountains in the background, and like all of the real estate in the foreground is just kind of left there. And it's like, I actually want the foreground to be the most interesting part. So let's sketch in some layers. Let's sketch in a little bit of orange or red. We don't have to stick with these colors. I'm just starting with like a very reddish color, and then when I layer on top, it'll have that warmth poke through, which I really like. I've been doing that a lot lately. And then this will be the water. So we're just gonna make a flat line going across and some shapes here. And this water we can just reflect straight down the sky. Kind of like Bob Ross, you know. He also paints across the thing. Adds a little bit of shadow. There we go. And just some shapes in the foreground. All of the foreground stuff's going to be much, much brighter. There, something like that. But it's still nice to have these dark shapes in here. And of course, all of this is bright. And we can get some lighter colors around the skyline. Also some darker colors around the... let's do darker blue, actually. Like that. Around the tops of these. Again, I don't want to put too much emphasis on these mountains because that isn't what I really want the focus to be. So I'm going to try to leave them pretty bare. But before I do that, I do want to get some sort of small shapes back here. Maybe some shapes like that, and then some shapes like this. Something like that. And then we get some shapes in here. We also have this little delta area. It's like a little... I don't know if you call that a delta, but I'm calling it a delta. This little, like, this area here, it's a little brighter, it's a little wider, and it's just like a flat area. Something like that. And then over here, we can have these shapes, they stick up. And we have some very tiny reflections. This is kind of like a field back here, so there are some textures and stuff. I don't want to make it too choppy, though. Or too, like, soft, I guess. Not choppy, that's not the right word, but too soft. What else can we do to up the vibrancy and interest in this? I think the foreground could be very red and dark. I feel like getting some of these dark reds into the shadows could be a good play. I'm not sure I like the vibes here, but they're not bad. Some of these little tufts of grass. So this is something that I don't know if it's controversial or not. Probably is not. I don't know if there's many controversial things in painting like this, but one of the things that I always struggle with is like when I'm painting these, I can't really tell what they look like, but also like our eyes don't have a zoom feature, you know what I mean? So like if I can't tell what they look like from the spot that I'm standing, shouldn't I just paint them the way that I see them, which is kind of blurry and not clear? But like it's very hard to paint them when you don't know what it is, right? And so there's this tendency that I have to like I want to zoom in so that I can see the details, and then I want to paint the details, but then that's like, hold on, isn't that too in focus? Like I shouldn't be able to see this. And so there's like this, you have to be really careful not to paint everything you like just because you know it looks a certain way and you can zoom, to me does not mean you should paint it that way. Now that's a choice, you could do it, some people would want to do it, but I struggle with this because it's like I have to fight myself to not do that, right? Like there'll be something off in the background, I'm like, I want to paint this, what is it, right? And like, oh, it's that, it's a house, and then I make a shape over here that looks like a house instead of making it look like what I thought it, you know, what I saw first, which is just a blob of white, right? Like a little bit of a, there's a little bit of white back there. You shared it? Ooh, let's take a look. Okay, let me save this first. Let me open up the old Discord. It's not opening. There we go. Art. Maybe. Sketches and works in progress. Where did you share it? Oh, here. That works. Oh, nice. I like it, Pixel. You did the same. Oh, so you did the same scene I did. So you did this one. The... Oh, that's a great version of it. I like it. Very cool. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, if you just joined Discord and you don't know how to unlock the other channels, Basically, you just have to go into the welcome page and click the little emoji, and then you can unlock all the other channels. Um, it's just like one extra step, just because I think it helps prevent bots from like spamming, because bots don't know how to click emojis, and so they pop in and they spam, and then like if there is something that finds the link online, it'll struggle to spam all the channels. So it just makes it slightly better, I think. But yeah, sometimes that's confusing. But no, this is great. I think you did a great job on this. I like that you were much more accurate with the lines and these little things than I was. Like, not that this is a comparison, but like I just put little blobs because I couldn't tell what it was and I didn't want to zoom in. Um, and so like my lines are just noodle and messy, whereas yours actually make sense, which I do appreciate that. I appreciate some attention to detail, which I lack generally, at least in these paintings. Yeah, you did a good job. Thank you for sharing. Okay. Um, little tufts back here that can be softer and blurrier. Just little impressions stuff. Oh, I'm on the wrong side. Let's do this. It's been like a year since the last time I drew, and I need more practice. Oh, that's awesome! I'm glad that you picked up the pencil or the brush or the stylus or whatever you want to call it. That's cool. It really, really makes me happy to know that people who haven't drawn in a while are, will come in and pick up their tools and do some painting again. That's really neat. Okay, I'm just adding little blobs. I'm not being careful about where they are. I'm just putting them all around. And I'm trying to put them in kind of for scale, so like slightly bigger in the foreground. Although, funny enough, the foreground actually has a lot of brightness. It's much brighter. Maybe I do this. I take like a different brush. But yeah, the foreground has a lot of bright colors. Like much more bright than all the rest. Just little sticks and twigs and stuff that's just kind of. It's like there's the impression of noise, just tons of texture. I don't really care what the texture is. Um, and then, of course, smaller texture back here, which again isn't really important at all. The sky, should this be more blue? I don't actually know. Okay, so here we're gonna make a few of these a little bit more careful. Because that way we don't have to paint every single one. We can just do like a little bit. Maybe we put a bit here. And then a bit here. Because again, all of these are not important, right? I don't need to paint every single tuft of grass. But I do want to paint enough of them, or at least do something to make it so you can tell they're tufts of grass. That might mean painting the shadow side of them, down near the bottom. Maybe it's painting a few stray grasses here and there. feel like painting grass is one of those things where there's so many ways to do it, and there's so many methods of like, how do you blend stuff, or when do you blend, or how many strands do you paint, how detailed is it? Uh, and there's no right or wrong way, but it's like, it's one of those things that I feel like I've never quite gotten down to where like, this is the way that I like to paint grass. Like, it kind of varies, and I'm always feeling like I'm making it up as I go. Like this, right? Like blending over the water where the grass is, because like it's thin with key bindings. Do you switch brushes with key bindings? No, I don't. I switch brushes manually. I very rarely switch brushes. I switch them like 3 times in a painting. Sometimes I'll use an airbrush. Sometimes, like in this case, I switched brushes. Not because I think it's going to help me. Like, I genuinely don't think this brush is doing anything different that the other brush couldn't have done. I just wanted to switch up the texture a little bit because it's a little bit... This brush is a little bit more rough, and so it can give a little bit more texture, whereas this one can get a little soft and muddy in the background. Do you click them with a pen? No, I just go over here. So when I'm painting, let's say I'm on this brush, I just I hit B, and then I just literally just click it. I just tap my brush, I just that one, and I click it, or this one, and I click that one. I just go in the menu and click it. Yeah, my method of selecting brushes is very, very lazy, which is probably why I don't change brushes as much. In fact, I think if I did set up hotkeys for brushes, I could get in the habit of switching them much more easily, and it probably would affect how my paintings look because I would be using a wider variety. So I think it would be smart for me to like take the time to set up different brush hotkeys and just start practicing. Because a lot of the time, those things, it's like, it sounds like a lot of work in the moment, but until you just get used to it, and then it will become part of your standard workflow. And it's like, you just kind of have to like become used to it first, and then, you know, before you can actually start like thinking about it. Or that's not, I said that wrong. You have to get used to it before you, then you don't have to think about it. So like, even though I might not want to switch brushes right now because it's so disruptive to the way that I'm painting, I think in theory I would like to switch brushes if it just came instantly and naturally. Like, if I didn't have to think about it and there was no sort of cognitive load to switching brushes, I probably would do it. So I should probably just, you know, suck it up and do the thing that I want to do, which is figure out how to switch hotkeys for different brushes and slowly practice it. I like that. Not bad. Adding some horizontal lines here. Okay, and do you only use a couple main? Yeah, I pretty much use like 3 brushes. I have, so my brushes are very basic. So this is the one I've been using most, which is a brush by Zach Retz. Zach Retz. I actually have a link right here to all the brushes that I use pretty much. This is the main brush that I've been using lately. It's just nice for blocking in shapes. It can have a little bit of texture if you want, or it can have a pretty smooth texture, right? Especially in the middle here. It's basically totally smooth. And I wasn't pressing hard. I was pressing very lightly, right? So still pressing very, very lightly, but it can be quite smooth if you do like any sort of blending kind of. And if you're careful with how you sort of go back and forth, it can get very, very smooth. So yeah, that's the main brush that I use. It's for, you know, I use it for blocking in. I even use it for detailing. The only problem is that, especially a lot of texture brushes have this issue, is that right around the edges, this is where the texture is going to show the most. And so if you do a lot of little painting, you're going to get a lot of little spots where this texture is showing through on the edges of your brushwork. And then over time, it's going to make your painting just a little bit more textury and fuzzy. and because you're not going to have those crisp edges all the time, because inevitably you're going to probably, unless you're painting super opaquely, you're probably going to end with a little bit of fuzziness around the edge. And so it can lead a painting to looking a little bit blurry or a little bit fuzzy. So that's kind of the downside. But there's other options. You can always use lasso tool, right, to get those crisp hard edges that are, just perfectly straight edges. You can do that. So, but this is the main brush that I use. Today though, I guess I also use an airbrush. Airbrushes are nice. You want to make a shape and you want to lighten something, but not totally make it opaque. You can just airbrush it in, give some nice gradients, do that kind of thing. Yeah, lasso tool is great. I like to use lasso tool in combination with the airbrush because I don't want to paint with an airbrush because it's too soft. And talking about making things fuzzy looking, right? Airbrush is going to make everything look out of focus if you paint with it. And yes, you can make it smaller, but it's still, even if you make the brush smaller, it's still going to have a bit of it's never going to look quite as hard edged as if you make a lasso tool and fill it in, right? This is going to have a harder edge look than this. So I don't think you should, or for me, I almost never just paint with the airbrush. I almost only use the airbrush to do things like lightening something or darkening something. Like if I already have a portion of my painting, let's say I have some dark shapes here that make like perspective. Here, let me just do a quick painting here. Let's say I have some shapes like no. Okay, so I have some shapes here like this. So if I just have some shapes here and I want to like maybe this background shape is a little bit too light, I will do something like I'll grab the lasso tool here. I'll take my airbrush and I'll just lightly paint in, or maybe even just in the bottom to like give it a bit of a layering, and I'll just lightly airbrush in to make it lighter and stand out more, and then I'll go back to my old brush. So I don't typically use the airbrush that much. It's mostly just as like a darkening or lightening effect. It just makes it real easy there. Right, if I want to push something back a little bit, I'll take an airbrush, take a color that I want, and just lightly paint in. Maybe I want to add a layer of fog, down here. So I'll do a selection, and I'll just add some airbrush just for like a little layer of fog. Isn't the isn't there a hard edge airbrush? I don't think you would call it an airbrush. That'd just be like the hard round brush. I think a defining feature of an airbrush is that it has soft edges, pretty much, and that you can blend things. Whereas, like, if you have a hard edge, like, I do have a hard round brush somewhere. Hard round. A brush like this, you can, I mean, sometimes you can still do stuff like that, but if you do any, like, layering, you're gonna get a lot of, like, the edges are gonna, like, have this weird overlap thing, where it's, like, stuff like that if you're not pressing very hard. And it just isn't gonna be as smooth of a gradient. The hard round brush is great though. I mean, the hard round brush can do everything. Like you can make all the shapes, and if you want to carve out shapes, like you can do that with the hard round brush. The hard round brush is great. It's like a classic brush. It's just a good brush. Nice hard edges. Can give opaque things, although this one's not. I have flow on, I think, on accident, but it's not bad. Yeah, there might be some weird type. I don't know what all the different brushes are. There might be some version of like a weird hard-edged airbrush combo that does something funky with the edges. I don't know how that works. But in general, I use an airbrush for lightening things or darkening things in like small gradients if I need. Like if I want to do like a little bit of a vignette, right? I might just take an airbrush, or maybe I'll just darken my whole painting by lightly airbrushing over it with a darker color. That way it kind of makes everything darker evenly. Or But yeah, otherwise, I'm pretty much just using this brush by Zach Retz. And then also I use this brush, which I'm using today. This is a brush that I made a long time ago. I haven't actually been using it lately, but it kind of functions very similar to the brush by Zach Retz, except one major feature, which I don't like, which is when you're painting really soft, that's when the texture shows up. And I don't like that because if you're trying to do like an airbrushy effect, you end up getting this heavy texture, and that's kind of annoying. Whereas the Zach Retz brush, this one, if I want to do like let's say I have these shapes here, and I want to lighten something, and I do like an airbrush, I can see how it's a dual brush. So the first one has texture, but as I keep going over it, it becomes really, really smooth. And that allows me to blend and lighten stuff very quickly, without getting much texture down. And so that's really nice. And that's something that I don't like about this other brush. But it is a nice brush. So this is another brush that I've used a lot. I'm using it a little bit today. It's good for like horizontal stuff because it's kind of a wide, fat brush. Or it's a wide brush, but not very tall. So it's good for like, well, hold on. I'm going to use the lasso tool here, but it's good for like horizontal shapes, right? If you want to do like lakes and rivers or something that kind of cut across the landscape, it's good for those sort of distant shapes, right? It's also not bad for like buildings that are kind of wide, because you can just kind of block them in and they make nice shapes. It's good for basically anything horizontally, so I think it's quite nice for environments because it has that, environments are oftentimes horizontal, so it's quite good to get those sort of land shapes in. I don't know what's going on here. I'm just sketching stuff. I thought this was going to be a tree, but I changed my mind. Okay, anyway, here's random stuff. You're a big, let's see, you're a big fan of it, but I don't know the lyrics. So if I go do it to a hard round brush concert, I don't seem like as much of a fan as others. To be honest, if I get, wait, what? If I get tickets to a hard round brush what are we talking about? I'm so confused, Dump Truck Davies. Lyrics? It's a joke? Okay, it went over my head. Went over my head. That I'm too dumb for this. Sorry. Hey yo, how's it going? Hebe's here. Hebe, it's going well. I'm a fan of the round brush, but I don't use it. I'm a fan of the round brush. I don't get it. Is that lyrics to it? I don't know what that is. Fan of the round brush, but I don't use it. I don't get the joke. That's not a joke. Okay. Okay, I got that. So it's not a joke. You got that. I don't get the joke part. Anyway, doesn't matter. I don't need to worry about it. My brain's tired. But yeah, so this is kind of... These are really the three brushes that I use. This brush, which is the JS Canvas Oval 2 brush, and then I use the airbrush, and then the Zach Retz brush. I have other brushes, like, there's a Dave Greco brush in here. It's like a square brush. It's just basically the hard round brush, but square. He uses that a lot. It's a good brush. I'm using it to clean up my canvas right now. The paintings look nice today. Love the perspective. Oh, thank you. Yeah, these were all from Map Crunch or Google Earth. Google Street View. I've been having fun with these today. But yeah, I think I actually I'm about ready to end. Maybe we'll do one more. Let's do one more painting. Have you tried Krita? I have tried Krita. Krita is good. In terms of painting, it has good brushes by default. Yeah, I mean, I like Krita. Everything about it seemed good. The only thing I didn't like and it's not really a point against the program itself, but its zoom feature was really unintuitive for me, and I basically would have had to retrain myself over time to learn how to zoom, because the way that I zoom in this program is so different than the way that you zoom in Krita, and I just couldn't figure it out. So the way I liked it, so if in Krita, it basically requires you to hold the zoom button in order to zoom in like this. So like I'm not using my hand, I'm just using my stylus on the canvas, and I'm literally just dragging it in, dragging it out, and it zooms in, right? And so I can pan, I hit hold space, and I can pan, I let go of space, and I can zoom back in and back out. Or if I go to brush, then obviously I'm drawing and I'm not zooming anymore. Um, but in Krita, it requires you to hold the zoom button if you want to do this feature. And it makes it very hard for me to like pan, zoom, pan, move it around, zoom back in, switch to my brush, paint, pan, zoom. I can't do that in Krita because I keep forgetting to press the button, and then it doesn't work, and it's very annoying. It's nothing, it's not a bad thing against the program. It's just I don't know how to set it up to make it do that. And because it's just so subtly different than the way that I'm used to, my muscle memory kicks in, and it just screws the whole thing up. So that's my only gripe with it, is that I can't make it exactly like Clip Studio. So not a real gripe at all, but it's a good program. Everything about it's nice. I did a stream one day where I have never used the program, and I opened up Krita and I used it for the first time. Basically, I just spent the whole time making sure that I could paint the way that I am comfortable with. Yeah, there's a lot of options to fiddle with zoom, but none of them were quite the same as the way that I'm used to it. And again, they're not bad, right? It's not a bad feature the way they have it. It's just when you've painted for probably thousands of hours in one program, your muscle memory you don't even think about it, right? It's just like walking or something, or like riding a bike and then having someone make it so you have to pedal in reverse, right? Like it's not that it's an inherently bad way to ride a bike, it's just so different that your brain isn't going to comprehend what's happening. So I would just need time. Like if for whatever reason magic evil genie came and made it so I can't ever use Clip Studio Paint again, I would be fine. I would survive. I would just use Clip Studio, or I would use Krita, and I'm sure in a couple weeks it wouldn't be a big deal at all. I'd be totally used to it. But anytime you're switching programs, you're gonna have things that you're used to, and then it's gonna be kind of hard to switch. That's how it is. Bob Ross would just stick a huge tree in the foreground now. He would. He likes his big trees. Ooh, those magic evil genies. I know. Okay, let's do one more map crunch. Oh. And by map crunch, I mean random street view painting. Okay, so this is the first place that we did today. Oh no, it's not. I skipped it though. We're gonna go here. So my goal, I'm gonna do a few skippings here, but my goal is to find a place that isn't like a panorama beautiful, idyllic scene. I just want to find like a random spot. Like this is not a bad spot, really. Like this is pretty gorgeous. Surely there's something we could find to paint if we wanted. Stuff like this is really nice to paint where you have like the dappled light, right? We could definitely do some scenes like that. But I'm kind of looking for some architecture maybe. See if we can look around, find any architecture. Nope. Oh, this is a panorama. Nope. Skip, because I can't move, and the whole place is too idyllic. I don't want to paint scenes like that. What are we driving? Is this car... Are we driving a dumpster? Like an actual, like, big... No, it's not a dumpster, never mind. It looked like one of those big dumpsters that... Like a dump truck thing. It's a van. We're driving a van. Okay. We're in a location called Gray Fish. Huh. Okay, it's also blurry.
These are probably all hand selected. No, they're not. No, they're actual street views. I don't think they're all hand selected. Some of them are, but no, there's a lot of just random spots. Ooh, this is cool. I like that. 90% of the images in here are just you're on a random street in a farm, on like in the middle of nowhere. Uh, I think it's pretty true random, but there are panoramic scenes from like user submitted or whatever, and those do pop in occasionally. I think what it does, I have a theory. I based on literally nothing other than me using this a lot. Um, so I think what it does is it takes like let's say this is you know, a continent, right? This is the U.S. Okay, no, here's a continent, not the U.S. Just some random spot. I think what it does, it just picks like on a grid, and it's trying to pick like just imagine of picking a random pixel, but let's say it picks a spot in the middle of the forest, right? And there is no road there. I think what it'll do is it'll grab the closest thing. So oftentimes when it grabs a forest scene, it's just gonna be a panoramic view because this whole forest might only have one or two locations, right? Whereas all of this, like urban areas, are gonna have tons of locations, or if it's a random farm, it's gonna have all these streets and roads. But if it's a big area of no coverage, the closest point is going to be like some user submitted thing. So there are like a surprising amounts of user submitted photos that it runs into because that user submitted photo is going to be like the most likely in this proximity. And then whereas if it picks a spot here, it's going to be random farmland because most of the country is farmland, right? And so this will be like real coverage, and then this will be fake coverage of like human submitted stuff. And so oftentimes you have these like really like remote places that are just gorgeous that people have traveled. And so I think that's kind of what it's doing, which I think is why you see a surprising amount, like relative to the other things of like of panoramic views. I do like this scene, by the way, but let's just so for example, if we go a few more, like this is just random street, right? But if we go long enough, we will find another panoramic, again, another random street. Is this panoramic? Yep, panoramic. See, my guess is like middle of forest. You get a lot of like middle of forest. Um, and it's gorgeous, but my hunch is it just picked a spot, and because it was in a forest and there weren't any street coverage, this is the closest. That's my theory. I don't know if it's right. I'm kind of making that up because I have no idea, but it seems to like kind of make sense because it's almost always remote forests. It's never like a panorama in a city unless it's like an interior. It's always places that the street coverage doesn't cover. So yeah. But occasionally you do see interiors. Also, this is a gorgeous scene. What the heck? Look at the lighting. Also, apparently we're on a tricycle. I'm confused. Is the photographer on a tricycle riding a tricycle through the forest? Is this not the weirdest I was expecting to see like a person with a backpack, not a tricycle. Like, were they riding a tricycle? Is that crazy? There's no way. There's no way. Is it? What? Dude, I'm so confused now. Like almost always when you see these panoramas, if you look down, you'll see like the person holding like their GoPro in a like in a backpack, fisherman's hat, like hiker hat or whatever, and like you'll see the person. But it's crazy that I'm just seeing there's a tricycle. Like I think the person, I mean, they weren't on it because then we wouldn't have seen them. I'm so confused. No, my guess is they probably were walking through the park with their kid who is on a tricycle. That's my guess. And they wanted to take a scene, but they didn't want the tricycle in the image. So they just stood at the point of the tricycle so that them and their child were not in the image. That's my guess. That's my theory. Okay. Where's the kid? I don't same place the person is. They're not in the image because they probably were like under their arms or I don't know, behind them maybe. Maybe as they panned around. I don't know how they took this photo. Actually, I have no idea. Why would you let your kid ride tri when it's so hard to pedal? I don't know. It does look very hard to pedal. That sounds like a yeah, maybe not. Maybe it was a full-grown person. Now I'm just imagining a full-grown person tricycling through this forest in some remote area. I mean, it's probably not too remote. It's probably private property because they're I don't know, maybe not. I have so many questions. Like what are the circumstances that lead there to be a tricycle? Maybe it's a weird clown. Maybe. Well, the world will never know. We're gonna go back to a previous one, this one, and I'm gonna paint this. Lots of farms. Do we really want to paint farmland? Ooh, are there any animals in here? There are, they're goats. We've spotted some goats. That's tickled me. I'm glad you found it amusing. Maybe I don't want to paint this one. Let's go to a new spot. We're just going to keep going. One more spot. A pile of rocks? What are we driving? Nope, just a blurry car. Okay. Oh, see, here's another panorama. So look, we're going to look down and we're going to see... What do you think we're going to see? Another tricycle? No, I think we're going to see a people on a boat. Or no people. They're blurry. But yeah, you can see, like, the arm, I think. They blurred everything's blurred out. But see, this is another panorama in the middle of the water. Very remote. Actually, hold on. We can move, though. Oh, because the boat is moving. That's cool. I didn't know that was a thing. Literal Antarctic coverage? Wait, are we actually moving? We are. Hold on, do we hit the iceberg? No, we missed it. That would be tragic. You just see the boat sinking as the camera moves into the ice. I kind of want to get closer to the ice. We'll do an icy painting. Kind of nice. I like this. This stream is making me smile. I'm glad. I'm glad you're finding it amusing. Okay, I like the colors here, so I'm going to paint this. It's not very exciting, but it'll be a fun, quick one before I end stream. We'll crank this one out in no time. Okay. Let's get a painting. So, I guess we're just going to start with like a gray-blue. Actually, no, just gray. We're not even going to hardly use any blue. Maybe actually we'll use a little bit of red. A gray-red for the sky and the water. We'll just do that, and then take a darker color, and I'm going to shift it towards blue. It's like a purple. Why purple? I don't know. Are you going to add a tricycle for interest on the iceberg? I should add a tricycle on the iceberg. That would be amazing. Just add a tricycle in every painting that I draw from here on out. That is a great idea. Okay, now a little bit of a gray blue. Lasso tool action here. Magical. We'll go like this. We'll go a little darker. Just something really, really simple. Just try to make a little bit of a gradient. Some darker shapes in the foreground because we do have the dark occluded areas kind of from, or the reflected areas. Not really occluded. It's a pretty calm day on the ocean. Then some warmish colors. So like some brighter colors down here. So they're like really pretty warm actually. I'm going to play around with some really vibrant blue, so I'm trying to make these all very dull in color. Okay, now I'm going to do some funky stuff. I'm just going to play around with little tiny shapes. Actually, no. Let's do this proper. I'm going to make some shapes like this. Oh. How do I do this? There's a triangle here. Some interesting shapes here. And I'm carving out the negative space right now. Okay, and then I'm gonna do like a lighter color. That tunnel seems looking amazing now that you're looking again. No, thanks. You did a fab job. Oh, thank you. Very kind. Okay, so here's the snow. I'm just putting some snow here. And then I'm gonna come back in here and add little shapes of stuff. Also these shapes down here. Just trying to make big shapes that kind of are geometric. The snow is surprisingly geometric in this. Lots of little shapes. Especially down here. Lots of small shapes. Okay, that'll work. And then we have some funky shapes down here. That's probably not bad. An almost pure white. Maybe a touch of yellow. And then we have brighter color. Not white though, but pretty bright here. And then here we have, this is where the really cool stuff is happening. We have a bigger shape here. I don't even know how to do this. Maybe I make this like purple. It's like a little bit lighter. A purple here. It's not really purple. I don't even know how to do this, actually. I'm kind of getting stumped. Little shape back here. Okay, let's try this. I'm going to take this very, very vibrant blue and do like a, just on the bottom, even more blue, like a teal, like an aqua color. Now a little bit down here. Not much, though. 'Cause I really like this color. And then on top, this is where it gets tricky. We have like a bluish color that's very light. That kind of... It's not that light, though. Little shapes in here, little overlaps. The big thing is there's a lot of little, not speculars, but just little like highlights. Like little shapes in here. Things going like that. Little shapes. I'm actually not sure if this is going to look good at all. But I got to give it a try. I'm confident enough in my ability to like decide that I don't like it. Enough to know that I can keep fixing it. Little bits of light and shadow in here. Maybe made it too blue. I think I made it way too blue. Should have been grayer. Yeah, trying to do this as like an impression-y thing is very weird. Because there's a lot of like particulars in here that I don't think I did that the right way. Are you drawing on one layer? Mostly. Mostly right now. For pretty much all of these, I mostly drew on one layer. But this one in particular, I technically split up the iceberg into another layer because I'm kind of just trying stuff. I don't like it so far. It's not terrible. But also, James Benixi on YouTube. Hello, hope you're doing well. Etbitpixel, you said you have to go. Have a nice day. I like the stream and the idea of drawing random places. Thanks so much. Yeah, thanks for being here. Yeah, I like the idea of drawing random places too. It's fun because it forces you to like decide what it is you actually want to draw, or like not, or like how you want to draw it, or what do you want to focus on. And for me, it's like I like the colors here. And so I wanted to focus on these bright blues, but I don't know if I'm going to integrate it very well. Also, none of this is very red, so we can always add more blue-gray in here. I think the blue-gray will also help harmonize the colors a little bit. But yeah, I am mostly on one layer. I mean, I technically am on multiples, but at this point, it's like I'm just treating it as one. I don't really use layers in like a normal layer usage way, right? I'm not using them to go back or add lighting as like a separate layer. It forces you to get out of your comfort zone. Yeah, and it sort of also calls into question. I mean, I know I talk about it a lot, so I might sound like a broken record. Hold on. This song is too loud for me. There we go. But it really forces you to sort of call into question like what you think is actually what would make a interesting painting, or like what is interesting, because so often I will discount something. I'll be like, this is a boring place to paint, or I don't want to paint this. It looks boring. But like, again, I know that if I were to give it to an artist who is very skilled at plein air painting, they would do an amazing job with it. And I'd be like, wow, you picked such a beautiful spot, right? Like, what a good location you picked. And yet, if I were there, I wouldn't even think about the location as being a good spot, right? Because it wasn't inherently a good spot. It's more of like what they focused on and how they drew it, right? And yeah, so I think that's kind of something that even though I know that, I still have to like catch myself and be like, oh, nope, maybe I should force myself to do this boring place so that I can actually try and make it not boring, or I can try to bring something to it or figure out what I do like about it, you know? Like maybe I do think it's boring, but maybe there's something interesting, you know, finding that beauty in the not beautiful stuff, in the mundane or whatever. So yeah, definitely something. But yeah, definitely that's definitely one of my favorite parts about this sort of plein air, virtual plein air painting. It's a random location. It's very weird to have. Do I just darken the water? Maybe. That would make it easier. These very, very blue icebergs in an otherwise non-blue environment. Also, let's change this to make it a little bit more blue up top. Specifically up here. Maybe some shapes here. I feel like the tops are feels pretty blue. The bottom doesn't. The bottom feels very warm relative to the top. Like this stuff. And maybe we bring in some very small horizontal shapes. I'm more after the vibes here, more after the feeling of the place rather than specifically making these exact icebergs. Now I'm thinking about making these line the top. I don't know if that's going to make it too shiny looking. Actually, I'm kind of curious. If I zoom in, okay, it's just a lot of obscure little shapes here. Lots of divots and dents and yeah, it's kind of a mess, which is a tough thing to do like nice shape design on. Definitely one of the harder things I think is like this chaotic pattern, the melting pattern of ice. It gets very bumpy and lumpy and it's hard to make it look nice in my opinion. This stuff is easy, right? These sort of like sheer cut panels, maybe not easy, but like relatively the shapes on like this is much nicer and it's clean, and I feel like it's much easier to make that look okay. Maybe we bring up the airbrush and do like a little bit of atmosphere. Now this is not, I'm going to try something here. This is not the colors in the image, but I'm going to add some green. Not much of a green, but like a weird yellow green or something. I don't know if that's a good idea. It feels like a good idea. Yeah, something like that. Because it's kind of like, it is like a soil color, right? It's like a soily greenish color. I kind of like it.
here. We can just put some of that there. And I'm pretty happy with this already. It came together quick. Still, I mean, some of these shapes are kind of not appealing, but again, they're just not very appealing shapes. I guess I could carve in these and do like the shadow side of these and make like little mini mountain ridges kind of and treat it like a mountain range. Maybe that's what I do. So now we get this bumpy ice. Where's the pink seat? Try. Yeah. Whoops, I forgot to put the tricycle in here. A little bit of an occluded area. Yeah, what was I thinking for not including the tricycle? And maybe a little bit of an iceberg back here, or a little bit of floating ice. I don't know. Do you call these icebergs? Glaciers? I don't know what this is. Icebergs. A little bit back here. Just right up against the water. There, something like that. Just kind of showing that there's more stuff back here also. Because this is where all the small shapes are, right? Like, there's lots of little floating stuff out here. But I also don't want to put too many small shapes, because that can get chaotic. I think also maybe the small shapes up here, we could do a lot. Actually, what if we switch over that other brush we were using to make more of these smaller shapes? Because it kind of has a streakiness to it, and I think it might look nice. Like that. Just trying to add little tiny shapes up here. Down below, I made the big shapes already, so now I'm coming in and kind of breaking them up. Be like, okay, maybe there's a crisscross pattern here, and some, you know, other triangle areas here, just like that are negative spaces. Or this big shape is nice, but maybe there's little, you know, extra little areas here. A little triangle shape or something, and maybe this one has like a negative triangle shape in it. Just, I don't know, basically just making patterns and breaking up the shapes. That's my goal. Because a lot of these shapes are very angular. There, I like that. I think it's a fairly decent plein air painting. Maybe some more triangular shapes going down these sides. Just on the right side. Kind of making little wave patterns and kind of do a little bit of blending. I think it's good. What about the sky? Do I want to do anything crazy with the sky? Not really. I like it.
Let's see. Yeah, it's a good. I mean, I like how the numbers are not in order. Yeah, okay, let's do some cleanup. Cleaning up. We're gonna merge visible, remove that. I'm gonna go back with this brush. We're actually gonna stretch the canvas just a touch. And then I'm just gonna paint in. I'm just I'm shaping these a little bit more so it's more like, I don't know, this feels nice, I guess. I don't know. Just for fun. Just for fun, doing some cleanup. I still want it to feel organic, but a little bit more presentable. I'm trying to get better at presentation stuff like this. There, that's not bad. Okay, now, do we number them or do we just leave them as is? It's not bad. Is that a good spot to stop? Maybe. Maybe that's a good spot to stop. I feel like I really liked the variety of places today. We had like residential, random middle of this farm, but very green. Then we had like highway, desert at kind of evening or something. Then we had like in a literal tunnel. We had like a deserty area with a little bit of water, and then we had like a glacial area with a little. I feel like it's just a good mix of spots. Farmland, not farmland, different prairies, prairie, farm, street, hilly, glacial, tunnel. Like they're not even the same, right? A lot of times in Street View, we end up with just like, 20 images that look, oh, not like this, like this, right? The four element, earth, wind, fire. Yeah. And a lot of times you just end up with like a bunch of images that look like this, which again can be really nice, especially if you focus on different things like the shadows on one or maybe the tree on another, right? Like there's definitely things to focus on, right? Maybe one you focus downward and you focus on the textures of the ground, and the next one you do like the skyline and the trees. So like even something like this, you could do 6 paintings of this one location, and each of them could feel very different, which is maybe a thing that we'll do another time, where we just take like a mundane scene but paint it 4 times and try to make it very different. Or like, for example, here's a good spot where like, where the shadow meets the light, and like you have all these cool like just lighting effects. Anyway, definitely some cool things to focus on. And I don't normally do a lot of plein air painting, so it's nice for a change. Okay, actually, before we end here, let's take this and just scooch them closer. Scooch them closer. And then I'm going to write my name. Oh, on a new layer. Somebody was asking about layers earlier. I do use layers, and this is a good example of when. And I'm writing my name. so that I can make it larger or smaller. Doesn't need to be large, but there we go. There. Those are today's paintings. I'm happy with them. I think I did a good job. I'm proud of myself. Some of them are very messy, like this one is very, very messy. Like, what are these noodle lines going on? I didn't make straight lines at all. But, yeah. This one I'm probably most proud of, even though it didn't turn out amazing. Only because it was so bizarre. And it was so, like, not... Also, you like how I just wrote truck, because I didn't know what it said. This one was very bizarre. But yeah, it was fun. Okay, well, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. If you're watching the VOD, thanks for being here. I stream 3 days a week. Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Today is Saturday. No, it's not. Today's Thursday. Today's Thursday. Next stream will be on Saturday. And I hope everybody has a good rest of their week. Take care. If you'd like to support me, well, you already have by hanging out and being here and watching, and thanks for being here. But I also have a Patreon if you want to support me on Patreon, patreon.com/jstiller30. You can do that too.